The second half of the season in the 3-year-old division kicking off after competing in 2/3 of the Triple Crown. Is Hofberg ready to emerge as a major player? His journey to the Travers picks up today. Standing in his way, Madison's Luna after posting a brilliant stakes win sprinting in the second start of his career. Can he do it going 2 turns? Whoever exits the Curlin victorious will likely have Vino Rosso to deal with on Travers Day. We'll preview Saturday's Jim Dandy and Millionaire Money Multiplier in the Grade 2 Bowling Green on a fantastic card coming up this Saturday. It's a great weekend ahead. It all starts right now on Saratoga Live, presented by Claiborne Farm. 100 years of doing the usual unusually well. Fans waiting to see if Hofberg is ready to step up and take over the spot that Justify left behind. Our Triple Crown winner, of course, out of commission. He has been retired from racing. Who will take over the reins in the 3-year-old division? An important prep for the Travers coming up today. Greg Wolf alongside former New York Met, LA Dodger, Paul LaDuca. So Hofberg, the last time we saw him, 3rd place finish in the Belmont Stakes. And Bill Mott thinks he's an improving horse. What are we going to see today from him?
Well, listen, he is an improving horse. He only had 4 starts going into the Belmont. He only had basically 2 starts going into the Florida Derby and performed well in both of those starts. So to me, I think he's going to improve. I think a lot of people forget, too, this is his home. He's been training here at Saratoga, and I've heard a couple of people say, oh, he's this big type of horse. He's not going to really love the turns. But if this is his home course and he's been training well over it, I think he's going to run okay. Now you got to discern whether the other 4 entrants in here can beat him.
Yeah, just facing a field of 4 rivals in this spot. Rewrite, who was going to be another Steve Asmussen runner in this spot. We're going to see him in the Jim Dandy on Saturday, tackling Vino Rosso, who we mentioned in the Open. You can play along for free on Fridays with Naira Bets. New members can sign up with the promo code BETSPA and get a $20 free play simply for signing up. Free Play Friday only lasts until 5:30 Eastern today, so get to NairaBets.com, enter that promo code BETSPA, and without doing anything, just getting signed up. You get $20 to bet the Curlin Stakes and all the racing at Saratoga today. Visit NairaBets.com/free play for all the details. It is all about 3-year-olds this weekend. Of course, today the Curlin, Saturday the Jim Dandy, and of course, the Haskell as well. Our colleague Tom Amos, he will send out Lone Sailor in the Haskell, send it downstairs to Andy Serling, New York Racing Association handicapper, and Tom Amos. Guys?
Well, thanks a lot, Greg. And it is a big weekend. I mean, obviously it's a huge weekend for you, but for the 3-year-olds, because between the Haskell, the Jim Dandy, as well as the Curlin with Hofberg, 3-year-olds are trying to sort themselves out. Maybe Good Magic, the leader of the post-Justified 3-year-olds. Where's Lone Sailor going to fit in with that group?
That's good. Who knows? I mean, we're going to have a new conversation, that's for sure, after this weekend between the Jim Dandy and the Haskell. I've always thought it was Justify and the rest. And by the rest, I think there literally is probably 15 to 23-year-olds out there that are within a length of each other. Something has got to separate themselves.
And Lone Sailor, how's he been doing since his last race in the Ohio Derby? And how do you feel heading down to Monmouth for the Haskell?
So he's here at Saratoga, and he's doing quite well. He's trained well over the track. He's a very good workhorse. His works show that throughout his career. They've been good here as well. And it's really, Andy, I know what's on your mind. The idea of which race to go into, whether it be the Jim Dandy or the Haskell, it's all about pace. And I think in the Haskell, he gets a chance with more pace. He wants that for his late run.
No, I agree. There will be more pace in that race whatsoever. But it's going to be a lot of fun. And Good Magic sort of in that position right now is the Pro Tem leader. But they've got to do it on the racetrack now.
Got to do it on the racetrack. It's the second half of the year. A lot can change in all the divisions, especially this one.
And certainly Hofberg is a horse that could easily put himself in that position, Maggie.
Yes, he could, as he will be the overwhelming favorite in here, and I'm very glad I invested in these boots here, guys, as once again, we've had some unexpected rainfall over the Saratoga Springs area, and now the track is listed as sloppy, and maybe that is the biggest concern for the connections of Hofberg in here. He has one lone start over a sloppy track that came at Churchill Downs in the Derby, in which he ran well. I mean, he encountered some trouble. It wasn't as if it looked as though he had a lot of trouble getting over the surface. And furthermore, While he's a son of Tappet, he actually comes from more of a turf family, such as Emollient and Courtier. They were good turf horses, and sometimes that will translate well to a horse handling this sloppy sealed track that we see here today. But as Bill Mott has said, this horse keeps getting better and better with each start, and he improves physically each and every time he runs. So he's coming off a little bit of a break dating back to that Belmont Stakes, but he is certainly the horse to beat in here. But for more on another contender who is likely to be the second choice in here, we'll check in with Gabby Gaudet.
Maggie, thank you. Well, I'm here on the apron standing outside of the Curlin Cafe. We just love Curlin so much here at Saratoga. We had to name a restaurant after it, but obviously the namesake for the feature race of the day later today. And I wanted to touch in on Madison's Luna, the number 2 horse for trainer Phil Bauer. Now, he did initially nominate this horse to both the Curlin and to the Amsterdam. His reasoning behind actually pointing or staying in the Curlin was that he's seen too many of the familiar faces that he would find in the Grade 2 Amsterdam. So he's staying here. The thing about him is that he is the speed of the speed, and his contenders in here don't have a lot of natural early pace, including the favorite in Hofburg. So he could use that to his advantage. And Greg, I thought it was really interesting as we were talking about the Curlin Stakes. I'm standing outside of the Curlin Cafe, and this horse was actually bred at Stone Street. Maybe a hunch bet of the day.
Very interesting. All you got to do is be a 2-time horse of the year, and you get a cafe named after yourself here in Saratoga.
Yeah,
they have high standards here. Here's the races we're bringing you this afternoon. Race 7 was originally scheduled for the turf, now on the main track, and it will now be contested at 1 mile and an 1/8. The 8th race, 1 mile and an 1/8 as well, which was scheduled for the main track, and that's a competitive group. Race 9, our feature, that is the Curlin, and Hofburg's return, his first start back since that 3rd place performance in the Belmont Stakes. Race 10, we will sprint 6.5 furlongs, New York breds in a $25,000 maiden claiming event. That's the pick for today. Weather and track conditions presented by Piranha Fly Spray, the preferred fly spray of the Saratoga Racecourse. Piranha on Pescon, main track sloppy. Track has been sealed, and of course, we are off the turf for today's action. Let's kick off this pick 4 with a look at the field, current odds. And right now, Miss Asia Brown, 8-5 on the board with who's left in here.
Yeah, the main track only horse in here, the only one was Paula's Pistol, and is currently your 3rd choice. Miss Asia Brown taking a lot of money. 0 for 3 over fast tracks, but this horse comes off a 7.25 win on the claim from David Duggan. The horse that benefits the most is the 1, and I'll include Lakota, 31 on the morning line. I don't know if she can win this race, but like I said, she benefits the most, at least odds-wise, from this switching to the dirt. 1-7 in race number 8. I'll take Navarro and Flowers for Lisa. I do think Sir Ballantine is very dangerous. 1-2-4. I'm going to take my shot against Hofburg. I think today's the day. You got to take a shot. He lays over the field, but maybe hopefully the sloppy racetrack will be his undoing. And then I'm just going to take both of Gargan's horses in the last race, the 1 and the 11.
Every day this Saratoga meet, use the Naira Bets app to place a $1 base trifecta bet on a selected stakes, and you'll earn a 10% winner's bonus. Today's race, of course, the Curlin Stakes. So download the Naira Bets app, get your bet in, and get that 10% winner's bonus on the Curlin Stakes with the return of Hofburg, who Paul thinks might be vulnerable today. The late pick 4 from Saratoga, it begins when we come back.
Once again, among the world's leading sires of stakes horses and graded stakes horses, Warfront has sired 8 champions and 8 millionaires. Recent Grade 1 winners include Lancaster Bomber, American Patriot, Avenge, Roly-Poly, Warflag, and Europe's 2017 champion 2-year-old colt, U.S. Navy Flag. In the sales ring, his yearlings continue to bring prices well over $1 million. International Super Sire Warfront, standing at Claiborne Farm.
They're on. Bet the horses anywhere, anytime with Naira Bets. Ranches out of there to take the lead. It's easy on your computer or Naira Bets app. Earn valuable reward points on bets. Play in our exclusive promotions and earn cash rebates. Sign up now. Bet $200 and get $200. Bet any track, anywhere, anytime. NyraBets.com.
His record-breaking accomplishments on the racetrack paved his way here to the Stall of Legends. Now retired to stud, we welcome the dawning of a new era as this esteemed champion hopes to stake his claim to immortality. His blazing speed and striking good looks have been passed down to his remarkable first foals. Foals that will carry the flag of their famous father and one day hope to break records of their own. Medication-free and undefeated in sprint competition. Run happy, standing at Claiborne Farm.
How do New York breds perform? They win in world-class company. From Grade 1 races in Dubai, where New York-sired New York bred Mind Your Biscuits won the Golden Shaheen for a second time, to Belmont adding to his status as the richest New York bred with a close second in the Met Mile. The Belmont Festival saw 2 more New York breds become millionaires, 4-star Crook in the New York Stakes, and world record setter Disco Partner with a repeat victory in the Jaipur. New York breds, get with the program.
Back on Saratoga Live. You're not going to believe this, Paul LaDuca. I told you I didn't like avocados yesterday. I've actually never tried mac and cheese.
Okay, and now you're really starting to creep me out here a little bit.
But this is a very popular truck here at Saratoga. And you can get to the front of the line if I'm ever there because I'm going to pass. But it looks fantastic.
It's absolutely fantastic. As you see, the Mac truck, and you can follow it on Facebook.
Someone's ready to take Maggie Wolfendale's job.
Listen,
be careful.
Listen, she's got 2 hands full with she's got, I think, a bunny and the mic. I guarantee you if the mac and cheese showed up, she'd find another hand.
That, of course, is Grace Wolfendale. And she says, Mom, I want your job. I'm ready to do it now. This just came out today. Dave Grenning of the Daily Racing Form reporting. World approval. He's going to be given the rest of the year off. The champion turf male from last year, who we saw win here in the 4-star Dave, won 3 consecutive Grade 1s, including the Breeders' Cup Mile. Not training up to Mark Cassie's liking. They couldn't figure out what was going on. They're going to turn him out. He'll be sent back to Live Oak Plantation Farm, and they want to bring him back in 2019.
Yeah, you see Gabby Gaudet petting the gray World Approval champion. Listen, he's a gelding. And so now Mark's theory is, listen, let's get him fresh, get his mind back on racing, because I think his mind's just off of racing right now. Let's give him some rest, and hopefully as a 7-year-old, he's 6-year-old now, he comes back and he wants that one again.
Yeah, 5th in the Kilroe Mile, 6th in the Wise Dan. Not the same world approval we've been used to seeing. Hopefully we'll see the star he was back in 2019. Right now we're going to send it down to the paddock for a paddock report with Maggie Wolfendale, or maybe Grace has completely taken over. This report brought to you by Hillendale Farm, now standing Curlin for $150,000.
Yes, Grace is standing by in case, I don't know, something happens to me, another storm comes and blows me away here, Greg, as she does know how to handle the mic, that's for sure. As we did have a slight delay here in regards to getting the tack out for the 3 and 11 here. Just a mishap in the jock's room. The jock was actually out. Jose Lascano showed up before his saddle did, which is a rarity. But number 3, Saida, for Danny Gargan. We'll talk about her. She only has 1 start over a wet track, but she does own a win on a dirt track alone. Last time out, first start for Danny at Delaware. She acted up a bit in the gate, and then that pace just completely collapsed on her. She looks like a filly that should actually be able to handle a wet track here. You know, she's a little bit on the not lighter side, just the kind of more aerodynamic side, if you will. And she's behaving quite nicely here in the paddock overall. So I think it's a good sign for her in talking to Danny. He wants to try to keep Miss Aja Brown honest. So to go out there, make her set the pace and sit right off of her. As I'm very intrigued by Jonathan Shepard's runner in here at Lakota, now that this is off the turf. She just makes a lot of sense. And speaking of one that looks like they would like a wet track, she certainly does look that way. She does possess one win and one try over it. And she's just nicely on the bridle. She paints a nice picture in here overall. I like her overall attitude and disposition. And I think she's pretty live here given the circumstances with this one being off the turf. Andy, Tom, what are you seeing over there on the paddock set?
Well, I think the first thing we want to talk about is the number 10, Miss Aja Brown, who just seems like a very poor favorite in this race, Tom.
Yeah, I think when you were talking about the 10-horse Miss Aja Brown, you're also referring to pace. That's what people are looking at. How is this race going to set up? Miss Aja Brown doesn't even look like a horse that wants to go 2 turns. And at Saratoga, because of the unique dimensions of the racetrack, it's going to go to 1 1/8 miles on the dirt. That's the shortest they can go going 2 turns here. I do not like the 10-horse Miss Aja Brown.
No, I think she's a bad favorite here, and I just feel like the number 11, Paula's Pistol, is supposed to be favored. I mean, she's the one guaranteed dirt horse. She has to get the 1 1/8 miles around 2 turns too, but feels more likely to do it than Miss Aja Brown.
Yeah, I think you hit on it. She has to be able to get the 1 1/8 miles as well, and I don't see it with her either, Paula's Pistol, the 11 horse who draws in as a main track only here.
The number 1 Lakota, man, I'm thrilled to hear Maggie likes this horse, but I don't know. Maybe carrying a lot of weight. It's Maggie, Amos, and Serlin.
Right, but you know, look, if you can forgive the last race, which is coming off a layoff where she was well beaten, she's made more money on the dirt than any other horse in this race. Value? Heck yeah, value. 9-2 on the one horse who's going to get a great setup between the 3, 10, and 11 that are all going to be up front challenging each other.
And, you know, I kind of want to ask the guys upstairs, I mean, what do you think about Miss Aja Brown as a favorite?
Well, yeah, 8-5. That price is getting a little bit short here at this point. The only race that shows up there, Paul, in the past performances, you go back to November at Aqueduct, race taken off the turf, and that doesn't inspire a lot of confidence.
No, and I think a lot of people are picking Miss Aja Brown just because of the trainer and Rudy Rodriguez. He's very dangerous with these type of horses that go from turf to dirt. Now, I know the horse has never run well over a dirt surface, never been over a wet surface, and I guess the public's thinking she gets to the front end off that last race. She was able to wire a weak field. Off a 49 buyer and a claim, she was 70 cents on the dollar. So I'm in agreement with the guys downstairs. She should not be 8-5 in here at all. But somebody has to be when you look at the one like Lakota at 30-1, who's 9-2. So I get that, but I still think the horse is a bad favorite.
I actually liked Lakota a little bit. No, if this stayed on the turf, I thought she had an outside look as a big long shot. Now, absolutely one of the horses to beat. Florent Giroux for Hall of Famer Jonathan Shepard.
Poor Lakota, carrying the weight of everyone on the show. But I agree, 9-2, a great price on a horse who can run a little in the dirt.
Saida, Jose Lezcano rides for Danny Gargan.
Saida has one good dirt race and a bunch of bad dirt races. It's kind of a crapshoot, but not impossible.
Silver Magnolia, David Cohen riding for Gary Gullo.
Yeah, this horse has had one race off an 8-month layoff. Wasn't a very good race, but I would look for improvement here.
8-5 favorite, Miss Aja Brown. Jose Ortiz aboard for Rudy Rodriguez.
3 starts in the dirt, has never run in the top 3 in any of those dirt starts. Hard to imagine her as the favorite here.
And Paula's Pistol, the main track only entrant, has speed as well, and an aggressive warm-up here. Kendrick Carmouche for Gregory DePrima off the claim.
Great move by Greg DePrima entering this horse MTO. Nobody else took the opportunity, and Paula's Pistol is the horse to beat and should be favored.
Let's go back to July 13th, and this was her most recent outing. Paula's Pistol would sit just off the pace and would just get beat at 4-5.
Listen, they're not moving like tremendous machines at all, if they really are moving, but she's trying, and she's trying hard. It looks like she's really getting leg weary, but she's getting to the winner a little bit. I thought this was an okay effort. Does this win this race? I don't know.
Yeah, I would think you're going to need better than that to beat Lakota in this spot on dirt. And there she is, warming up. Kendrick Carmouche, maybe going to be asking her for some speed this afternoon. You can play along with all the races we're being each and every day without risking any of your own money and compete for real prizes with the Saratoga Showdown. Prizes such as a grand prize of a 2019 Belmont Stakes ticket package. Visit NYRA.com/Saratoga Showdown to place your mythical bets and watch your name climb that leaderboard. We have 317,000 plus in this pick 4 pool and still growing as we send it back downstairs to Andy and Tom.
We didn't discuss, Tom, the 3 Saida going out for Danny Gargan, and this is obviously, like most of these, preferred a turf horse, but has one good dirt race down at Laurel. What do you do with a horse like this? Is the plan for Danny Gargan and Jose Lozcano to try to wire the field?
Well, I think Lozcano likes to ride that kind of race, number one. And I think Gargan trains in that style to show speed. But the problem with Saida is the same problem with the other speed in this race. I don't see a horse that wants to go 1 1/8 in Saida. So I really see a pace collapse here.
As a trainer, though, do you sometimes think a wet track like this can help a horse carry speed farther than it wants to go?
Oh, certainly, especially Saratoga. Now, I know the race has been very formful today, but speed has been good since the rain came down.
Yeah, and I think that's what makes her a danger, and I just think they're going to try to wire the field. We'll see if she can get away from Miss Aja Brown. Back to LeJuan Lakota. I mean, you hate to keep sort of belaboring the point. Jonathan Shepard, what did he win? One race for 47 straight years or something here? Did not win a race last year. I think he's ready to start a new streak. It'd be kind of cool to see him get back on board with Lakota.
Yeah, look, I'm going to forgive the last race back on June the 16th. That was off of a 6-month layoff. Maybe call it a get-ready race. And if you look at the previous form on the one horse, Lakota, you see a horse that is just better than any of his other horses on the dirt. Made more money than any of these horses on the dirt. Looks like the class of the field on the dirt. These are check, 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 and value, check, 9-2.
She actually looks like she could have been an MTO in this race, and there's really only one MTO, Maggie, and that's Paula's Pistol. You got to give Gregory DePrima a lot of credit for being the person alert enough to enter an MTO.
And very true, Andy. But it almost feels as though Jonathan Shepard, knowing that there was rain in the forecast, may have very well thought that Lakota could have gotten in here with an off-the-track possibility. But taking a look at the 2 horses, and they are the 2 that really got over the best, the course the best. And Paula's Pistol, as Greg mentioned, she got an aggressive warm-up from the word go here by Kendrick Carmouche. She is on her toes. She's really woken up. I think she's the type of filly that you do have to do that with, because she's extremely docile and relaxed in the paddock, and once you get out on the track, you got to say, hey, wake up, and she's definitely done just that. So we'll see how she does. I don't love the fact that she was a beaten favorite in her last start, where she was going into that next condition here overall, but then again, Daria's Angel, she was a filly in good form as well. So I think Paula's Pistol and Lakota are the 2 you want in here, Greg.
All right, Maggie, thank you. So Paula's Pistol, the 11 at 5-2 on the board. Lakota, the 1 at 7-2, and there is Lakota, the 2 that Maggie likes.
Yeah, and listen, Lakota has a couple wins on a fast track and a wet surface. 1 on the fast and 1 for 1 on the wet. I get it. The speed figures or the buyer numbers aren't that fast, but if the race collapses, this horse is going to be rolling, and there you see a couple of us picking the 1 at 30-1 on the morning line. The 6 can pass horses, but the 3, 10, and 11, it's still suspect whether they can pass horses at this distance. Now remember, this moved to what, 1 1/8 miles. This isn't 1 1/16 miles, so that might be in the favor of the 1 and the 6.
And when you compare the victories of the 1 Lakota and the 11 Paula's Pistol, the 1's just more accomplished, right?
Well, yeah. I mean, Paula's Pistol is 2 for 7. Listen, and the horse
maiden 10 claiming
14 non-3, and it didn't look pretty that last race.
And look, no 2. We say this all the time, but no 2 off tracks are the same really anywhere. But the only time Lakota was on and off going, it was labeled good. It was at Penn National. For what it's worth, though, ran huge that day.
Yeah, won by 5 lengths. It was probably her best effort to date. She's got $112,000 in the bank, so she's not a slouch in here.
Despite all we have said about Lakota and about the main track only entrant Paula's Pistol, the public firmly behind the 10, Miss Aja Brown. There she is in the gate with Jose Ortiz. She is the 3-2 favorite. Here's Larry Colmus, the voice of New York Racing, for the call to kick off the late pick 4.
They're all in line. They're off. Saida breaks sharply and is sent out to the front. Miss Aja Brown and Paula's Pistol in pursuit with Lakota on the inside, away running in 4th. The trailer is Silver Magnolia. As they head into that turn, it's Saida in front. And now coming through on the inside is Lakota. Up on the inside of Paula's Pistol around that first turn. Break of another 2, and Miss Asia Brown tracks them fourth by another 2.5 lengths. The trailer Silver Magnolia, the quarter, 24.53 seconds. Onto the backstretch they go. Saida 3/4 of a length ahead of Paula's Pistol. Lakota is third on the inside. Then comes Miss Asia Brown in fourth. And a break of another 4.5 lengths more back to Silver Magnolia, who continues to trail this quintet halfway up the backstretch as they pursue Jose Lezcano and Saida. 1.5 lengths ahead of Paula's Pistol and Lakota, who are now head and head, second and third through a 48.7 half mile. Miss Asia Brown has lost ground to them now, 5.5 lengths off the lead, and continues to drop back as they move into the turn. And Silver Magnolia is right on her inside. So around the turn they go. Saida is still in control here by 1.5 lengths. Lakota has moved up into second and now switches to the outside of the front runner. Paula's Pistol comes under pressure in third. It's a long way back to Silver Magnolia, and Miss Asia Brown is now the distant trailer as they come toward the top of the stretch. It is Saida and Lakota, and they turn for home with Saida in front. Lakota came pretty wide there. These two will decide it. The others are out of it here at the 8th pole. Paula's Pistol clings to third. It is Saida. Saida down to the 16th pole. Lakota still trying to come and get her, but Saida's got a 2-length lead, and Saida and Jose Lezcano never look back. Lakota second best under the wire, and then it was a long way back to Paula's Pistol, and Silver Magnolia will be fourth in 1:52 flat.
Saida with the win, the 5th of her career, and she was bet down to 7-5 favoritism in the end.
No, Craig, the public knew to bet this horse. She went down to the favorite. They put her on the front end. You couldn't catch her up front. And Miss Aja Brown, she was last, Tom.
Well, as we spoke about, but, you know, really this race, pace, right? Early on pace. The opening quarter of a mile told the tale. Saida got it by herself. I didn't see that one coming. And, you know, as it turns out, trip as well, because Florent Giroux on the one horse would have liked to have had a chance to challenge earlier. He couldn't. He was in the pocket, nowhere to go. By the time they turned for home, wasn't going to get there.
So 7-5 on Saida. Jose Lezcano aboard. Let's go downstairs to Gabby Gaudet.
Well, here with winning trainer Danny Gargan. And Danny, just talk a little bit about how obviously the conditions of the track changed and your confidence levels going into a race like this today.
Well, actually, I was praying for rain. I really thought this race was a lot tougher if it stayed on. There were some quality fillies actually on the grass. And I knew if it came off, we could have a chance to go wire to wire, which we actually did. I mean, I thought Rudy said would go with us a little more than she did. But this filly went out, took her over to Maryland. She had a bad experience that day. She kind of got a little washed out, a little crazy in the post parade. And she was acting really good today and did everything right. And we got lucky and got the win.
Well, that you did. Congratulations here.
Sometimes the rain helps. Thanks, guys.
Rain is not always a bad thing, Greg.
No, it is not. In this case, Danny Gargan hoping for it. He got it, got a wet track, and Saida got to the front and kept on going.
Yeah, listen, it was a good job. And I thought Todd made a good point. When you're going a mile and 1/8, Florent Giroux would have probably wanted to challenge Saida as much as he could, but he got locked in by Paula's Pistol long enough that he just couldn't. And, you know, when he hit the horse left-handed, she sort of spun out on the far turn, but she was never getting to the winner here as she just sort of strided away. You have to be close to the front over this racetrack. We saw it yesterday when it gets moisture over, but no doubt about it, the public got it right towards the end because the 10 was just not the right favorite at all. And you could tell right from the get-go, didn't even challenge.
Yeah, nowhere, as Andy told us, for Miss Aja Brown. So you got to be close. What does that mean for Hofburg? Still to come in the Curlin. Not one known to be close to the pace. Still to come this weekend on Saturday, the Jim Dandy Vino Rosso making his return. First start back since the Belmont. We'll talk about it when we return.
Kentucky Derby winner Orb was the leading freshman sales sire of weanlings, yearlings, and 2-year-olds. On the track, his runners have scored on both dirt and turf, including Orbelution, stakes performer Scrapper, and TDN Rising Star Explorer. In the sales ring, his progeny continue to sell well beyond his stud fee, including the $1 million co-sale topper at Saratoga. Classic winner, classic pedigree, classic results. Orb, standing at Claiborne Park.
We are back on Saratoga Live on Fox Sports 2 and other regional networks across the country, presented by Claiborne Farm. Saida heading back to the barn with a win in tow, the 5th of her career.
Yeah, congratulations to this filly by Giants Causeway of the Indian Charlie Mare's sister Dawn, Mr. John O'Hara. Congratulations to you, 5 for 20 lifetime. And again, another horse where there was a late scratch. You might have had the 2. You got Saida, so you got the favorite.
Let's take a look at how the Naira Bets late pick 5 follow along has played out to this point. 126,000 in the pool. Started with the 3 Out of Trouble back in race 6, and now Saida, who went off favorite.
Yeah, so a couple scratches in between, you might have been able to double load your ticket, but favorite so far, and you have an even money shot you need to beat here in race number 8.
Yeah, still a long way to go. 3/5 of the way. Race 8. Mile and an eighth, originally scheduled for the main track. An allowance optional claiming group. And Uncle Mojo short price here for trainer Todd Pletcher with John Velasquez aboard.
Yeah, the one sloppy track effort. A winner by 12 3/4 before going in the Stephen Foster out of that. And obviously too much competition there, but deserving favorite. I don't know about even money. Flowers for Lisa, for Jorge Navarro. I thought could be maybe your second choice here. In this race, and maybe a tough foe.
All right, we'll talk more about that field coming up in just a moment. Speaking of the Naira Bets late pick 5, on Saturday, it kicks off with the Amsterdam for 3-year-old sprinting 6.5 furlong. Sensational stakes lineup on Saturday with the Amsterdam, the Grade 1 Vanderbilt, the Bowling Green at a 1 3/8 on the turf, and of course, the prep for the Travers, the Jim Dandy with Vino Rosso back in action. That is presented by Naira Bets. But that Naira Bets late pick 5 kicks off with the Grade 3 Amsterdam. And we have the 2nd, 3rd, and 4th place finishers, and in fact the 8th place finisher out of the Woody Stevens all returning.
Yeah, just such a tough race to gauge, because when you look and watch this race over and over, Promises Fulfilled, and the other horse in here went just absolutely gangbusters on the front end and went 21, 43, and 3, and Engaged actually got left in the gate a tiny bit that day, broke flat-footed, and it was absolutely giant to run second in this spot. You know, Still Having Fun got the job done, but Promises Fulfilled you got to give credit to. You also got to give credit to a couple others in there as well. So, listen, Engage is going to be the horse to beat, but he needs to get out of the gate a little bit better.
And of course, Andy Engage, a horse that we learned about really for the first time here at Saratoga last summer.
No, he did. He made his debut here and broke his maiden on closing day, on Labor Day. I'm not an Engaged fan. He could get lucky in here, and Promises Fulfilled and World of Trouble, the 2 horses that dueled in the Woody Stevens. Maybe they'll hook up again, and they'll set it up for him, and none of the other closers will show up. But to me, Engaged is a horse that's been opportunistic. And I know it could set up for him again, but frankly, I think both the speeds, Promises Fulfilled and World of Trouble, are better horses than him. And I don't think we're going to get the same kind of cut-through duel in Saturday's Amsterdam.
So 3-year-olds in the Amsterdam. Then it's the Grade 1 Vanderbilt. We see older horses sprinting 6 furlongs, and Switzerland has just turned into a star in his 4-year-old campaign. He is 4 for 4 undefeated, and he can win really on any kind of surface.
He certainly likes a wet track, as he's shown, but, you know, this is a horse that took a long time to break his maiden. He didn't do it until his 8th start, and a lot of people were beating up on him. But I even pointed out on Twitter, and I'd even talked to Chad Brown about it, who had him at that time. He's in Steve Asmussen's barn. He was just meeting one killer field after another and said, this is a horse with stakes potential. He's just got to get through his maiden condition. Well, now he's won 4 straight, including that maiden win and a big win here over Long Haul Bay in the slop at Pimlico. This is a big step up for him, especially running against a horse like Imperial Hint, who might be one of the best, if not the best, sprinters in the country. But Switzerland is moving forward, and that could give him a shot to upset the field. Slight upset is the second choice.
4 for 4 in 2018. Andy mentioned, though, Imperial Hint. He put together 5 in a row at one point. He is 10 for 16 in his career. This is going to be a great rendition of the Grade 1 Vanderbilt.
Yeah, you know, listen, Imperial Hit, like you said, is 10 for 16, and Switzerland's going to have to deal with him. And he makes a good point. This is an acid test. He's going to have to deal with him early and late. And, you know, Warriors Club, if the rain continues to come, he moves up on a sloppy racetrack. He has a dynamite race running a good second to Limousine Liberal.
And I'm intrigued by Done Deal for Ian Wilkes. This horse was off from September of 2016. Didn't come back until May of this year. When he went to the bench, he'd won 2 in a row. They put him back in a tough spot. He errs by more than 5 lengths. They put him in a stakes race at Prairie Meadows. He wins by 4 lengths. This horse could be very good.
He could be very good, and he actually got Butte for the first time. And here's the crazy part. Look at his works on the bottom. Every one of them is a black type.
Yes,
he
they
has
are.
not been outworked on the bottom of the page. Yeah, he's a dangerous horse. Sierra Farm, small little farm in Kentucky, but they do very, very well.
And one of those bullets, by the way, the most recent, right here at Saratoga. Race 8 is next here at the Spa on this Friday afternoon. Another look at the field. Even money on Uncle Mojo, dropping out of the Grade 1 Stephen Foster and Pavel. A little bit easier company here today, but still few horses who could spring the upset. We will talk more about it when we come back. You're watching Saratoga Live on Fox Sports 2, presented by Claiborne Farm. We'll be right back.
Grade 1 winner Lee traveled the world competing against the best of his generation. A graded stakes winner on both dirt and turf, he set a new track record in the Grade 1 Don Handicap and retired with earnings of more than $2.3 million. The sky is the limit for this promising young stallion. Lee at Claiborne Farm.
They're off. Bet the horses anywhere, anytime with Naira Bets. Rushes out of there to take the lead. It's easy on your computer or Naira Bets app. Earn valuable reward points on bets. Play in our exclusive promotions and earn cash rebates. Sign up now. Bet $200 and get $200. Bet any track, anywhere, anytime. NairaBets.com.
John Velasquez. The closest thing to perfect is John. Too perfect, like his position, he's very smart, and he does everything like perfect. If you want to do good, you gotta try to look like Johnny. No mistakes. It's great. It's the final leg of the Triple Crown. It's 1.5 miles. It's kind of tricky distance because we don't ride 1.5 miles every day. You need a horse that can handle it. I mean, it was pretty amazing. I like Mickey Woods and Alex Rose. It's Spanish, kind of reggaeton. My family. I had 2 pit bulls, and my mom have a Chihuahua. I like Instagram and Twitter. Facebook also.
Jose Ortiz, he is a superstar, reigning Eclipse Award-winning rider. Got his first win in the Triple Crown last year with Taprit. And the last time that Cassie's Story, the 2, came to Saratoga and was entered on the dirt, Jose Ortiz helped that horse break his maiden. That was in 2016.
Yeah, going 7 furlongs. You're to Blame was the horse that he defeated that day, and he's got 1 win since, and that was at Fairgrounds. And you know, he's run 2 good races here at Saratoga.
9-1 though on the board right now in the 2. Cassie's Story. Gonna get a little more info on the rest of this field now as we send it down to the paddock and check in with Maggie Wolfendale. This report brought to you by Hillendale Farm, now standing Bayern for $15,000.
As I do continue to sweat down here as I'm tired for getting on the pony here for this race. We'll check in with the inside runner. That is Sir Ballantine for trainer Danny Gargan, looking to go back-to-back here in the slop. And I always love Danny. He always comes up to me before a race and he says, I'm a little up against it here, aren't I? Because it does look as though speed is good over this course, given the 1.125 distance, as well as he just wired the field with his last runner. And Sir Ballantine, though, he is devoid of any early speed. But what I can say here is that I like him from the overall perspective. He looks healthy. He's striding out nicely, too. But his last race did come on a sloppy track. And while he does have a win over a wet track, I'm a little concerned about that because he does have those big kind of paddle feet. And sometimes those ones just don't cut through this surface in the right kind of way. Danny also mentioned that he wasn't quite right when he came out of his last race and may explain his somewhat lackluster performance. So maybe he's back on track here today. We'll see what kind of trip he pulls, though, from that inside post. Now, number 3, All About Ashley for our co-host, Tom Amos. He does have a bit of early pace. He also loves it up here at Saratoga, and he's a horse that I've always liked. And yes, he's lost his way a little bit, but maybe he's back in form now, as he looks fantastic here as we see Tom Amos putting the bridle on, gonna get those blinkers on as well, adjusting the bridle as he's making sure that bit is up in the All About Ashley's mouth, and he looks fantastic here. If he can refine some of that form that he once had here at the spa, puts him right in the mix at a decent price. As we'll take a look at number 4, Uncle Mojo, and probably just from looking at horses in the overall sense of things, I think Uncle Mojo looks the best here. He is really now filled out that frame as a 4-year-old. He looks just utterly fantastic, and he can handle a wet track. So Uncle Mojo, I really like what I see for him here in the paddock. As we'll check in with Andy Sterling, who's all by his lonesome over there. Hey, Andy.
It's very lonely, Maggie. I'm very sad and lonely over here. I'm with all my friends. I think it's an interesting race, and I'm going to fool around with long shots near, like Sir Ballantine you mentioned, throwing Papa Shotto loves a wet track, the 6 Powerful Alley, and the 8 Virtual Machine. I'm going to try to beat Uncle Mojo. I think he's got pace pressure, not just all about Ashley inside him, but particularly on the outside with the 7 Flowers for Lisa. And I just don't want a Todd Pletcher horse that's been spending most of his career running out of town. His win at Saratoga last summer, this distance, he rode a very strong rail bias, and I actually think Powerful Alley ran a better race than them. So I'm going to try to beat this horse. Even money seems like an awfully short price. I'm very interested in the 8 Virtual Machine, and sometimes you look at the PPs and you see the odds, and you say to yourself, I must have the wrong PPs. Why is Virtual Machine 15-1 and Flowers for Lisa just beat him by a length 4-1? Virtual Machine, the one time is a wet track. That was a goofy track, a huge storm before the race. He's a horse who can be forwardly placed enough to not be compromised, and he really is going to like this 1.125, I think, at Saratoga. And to me, he's a massive overlay. Now, I always root for my friend Tom Amos, no matter how he does, but All About Ashley, this is a tough spot for him, Tom.
It is indeed, Andy. Look, I mean, you don't know how these races are going to draw until you enter them, and Todd's horse is certainly the most accomplished and looks like he can kind of handle things on the front end. But this is a horse I've had since about the middle of May, and I've done a lot of preparation with him. He's had time in my barn, and he's had time over this racetrack. he has got a really big, good-looking stride, and we're going to try and stay close today with Ricardo in the irons. And look, Santana likes to be close to the pace. This horse does too. Those are his best races, and that's what we're out to do.
So all about Ashley. Try and keep close to the pace. And here, shout out, by the way, to 930 Racing, that ownership group. They know how to have a good time.
Yeah.
And they're out here in mass to watch All About Ashley run. Comes off back-to-back wins and loves Saratoga, too.
Yeah, and great info there for Tom. That's the luxury we get with him being on our NYRA team. Listen, telling you the horse Ross raced on May 10th, and he's had the horse since the middle of May. So they purchased him quickly right after that race, and time to get acclimated into Tom's program. I think that's a big plus and a big sign for a horse that's in good form. I know it's smaller racetracks, and you make another good point. Two for three here at Saratoga.
Yeah, that means a lot. We shall see. On the off tracks, however, has not hit the board in 3 starts, but again, never the same at any racetrack or any kind of off track you're dealing with. So we'll see if this horse returning to Saratoga can get this one back in the winner's circle at a big price on the board. Let's get back to Tom Amoss.
Hey guys, I'm just watching in the paddock. I'm playing Maggie Wolfendale, probably not as well, but look, when I'm a trainer and I have a horse in a race, I'm always paying attention to my competition, looking for any edge I can get. Is any of them high-strung, nervous? Are they looking like they're not ready to run their best race? Look, this paddock has been very quiet and very good. I'm not getting any information from any of the other horses that suggest any negative signs from any of those horses.
Always trying to get any kind of edge that you can. This game is so tough. We know that.
Listen, this is the reason why Tom Amoss wins so many races. He's so detailed. He first of all comes with placing your horses. First of all, then you got to train them, and then Tom sizes up his competition. I think a lot of people don't realize how competitive Tom is, and he wants every edge he can get.
And a lot of that in being a successful trainer, picking the right spots for your horses. And Tom is good at that as anybody in this business as we head back downstairs to Andy Serling.
I just want to actually ask you guys some questions and talk a little about the race with you. I think horses like the 6 Powerful Alley and the 8 Virtual Machine, 2 big long shots, are both players in this race. You guys think I'm crazy? Or crazy for liking them? Crazy not in general?
No, not at all. Because if you draw a line through the Met Mile with Virtual Machine and basically the Parks races, I draw a line through the Parks races because horses in New York, they either love it or they don't like it. And then the downpour in the muddy race. You draw a line through those 3. He has an excuse. This horse would not be even close to be 14. And when you make a good point, Flowers Elisa, I know held him at bay, but it wasn't like he crushed this horse to be that far apart.
Right. And yes, Andy, we do think you're crazy.
Thank you. I appreciate that. I knew that, Greg. That really, I worded it very poorly. What about Powerful Alley? I mean, he broke his maiden in a sloppy sealed track with an 89 buyer speed figure. Why can't he sit a decent trip in this race and be a factor? I just think these are players, and this board, to me, there's opportunity because I think it's a tougher race than a horse like the 4 Uncle Mojo being even money.
Yeah, it seems like the off-track is kind of thrown a wrench into things. Public doesn't know what to do. But, yeah, the 8 Virtual Machine, no way should that horse be 14 to 1 on the board. That is incredible value right now.
Yeah, and, you know, Uncle Mojo, I get it's 1 for 2. Papa Shot, the 5, can he win this race? I don't know. But the muddy racetrack moves him up a ton. Even I think the muddy racetrack moves up the 1, Sir Ballantine. So this is a tough get here. I get the people that like Uncle Mojo. I get it. He's coming out of couple races, but I don't know about even money.
I want to mention Papa Shah. I'm glad you brought him up, Paul, because that 104 buyer, there was plenty of moisture in that track that day. And that performance would blow this field out of the water. And he also has the race at 6.5 furlongs here in a muddy sealed track. I mean, 6.5 furlongs is not his distance. And he showed last time he may still have some life left. So why can't he be a long shot that's a chance to get a piece?
Yeah, and he lost to, in the Morrissey last year, Celtic Chaos, who probably got maybe a little unlucky yesterday getting shut off at the rail. So, yeah, the Papa Shot gets thrusted into the mix here because of the rain, big time.
I think people looking with the 4, it's Pletcher and Velasquez, and they see the horse coming out of a grade 1. And then before that, they see just a freakish effort on a sloppy racetrack when he errs by more than 12 lengths. And they go, well, that's the race.
But he's 50 cents on the dollar. He's supposed to do that, right, Andy?
Yeah, no, I agree. And I think, Greg, it's a very good way of looking at it. I think that people are really underestimating the competition here.
Call to post from Sam the Bugler. And all of us agree this is much more competitive than just simply an even money shot here. Even though it is Pletcher and Velasquez. And yes, a horse did appreciate the sloppy going at Pimlico. We start things off with Sir Ballantine, Kendrick Carmouche for trainer Danny Gargan.
You know, it's another horse that's been okay over a wet surface and has a nice win 3 back and can sit a good trip here.
Cassie's Story. Jose Ortiz will be aboard the 2016 Fasig-Tipton February sale graduate.
It's always good to draw towards the inside in these 2-turn routes at Saratoga, but he just looks a little slow to me.
Tom Amos sends out All About Ashley for 9:30 Racing. Ricardo Santana Jr. aboard.
This gelding by Colonel John's in very, very good form and 2 out of his 8 wins here at Saratoga.
Uncle Mojo, very short price right now for trainer Todd Pletcher and JSM Equine with John Velasquez.
To be honest, I keep scouring his PPs, looking at the figures he's run, knowing he's not the lone speed, and thinking he's overbet.
Manny Franco on the 5. Papa Shot for Linda Rice.
Yeah, Papa Shot. No Warrior does like a wet surface. Still love looking at that 3rd place finish in the Keeneland Korea Cup.
Powerful Ally at 16-1 Ron Moquette trainee with Joel Rosario.
Another horse who I think is coming to hand and has a chance at a big price.
Never off the board on an off-track. 3 for 5 in the win column in the wet going. Flowers for Lisa for Jorge Navarro.
Well, I thought this horse was dangerous for Jorge, first of all. Now on the wet track could be more dangerous. And at 4-1's not a bad price.
And a monster win in the last time going 1 mile and an 1/8 at the Claiming Crown. Virtual Machine. Jose Lizcano, David Canizzo.
Hoping he is a virtual machine out there today, and I think he's a player at a very big price. Public's looking at this race a lot differently than I think all of us are.
That is your field. We are approaching the 7-minute mark to post for race 8 coming up. There is Papa Shot, trained by Linda Rice. Let's go to Gabby Gaudet.
Thanks, Greg. Yes, here in the paddock with Linda. And Linda, talk a little bit about Papa Shot and how you think that he'll take to these conditions today. I know he's been on them before in the past, but kind of against a different caliber of class.
Yes, you know, he's run well in the mud before in the off track, so I thought that might help us today. You know, he's 10-1 right now. I think he may run better than his odds today.
All right, well, we sure hope so. Coming up next in the Curlin, you send out 2. I'm interested to hear about Nicodemus, He was RNA'd at the sale for $270,000 in July. What's the story behind this horse? How did you acquire him and when?
Well, I've only had him since the auction. My clients and I tried to buy him through the auction, and they bid on him. He didn't reach his reserve, and then afterwards, Avram and Rhoda met their price. They came down a little bit, and but I'm very happy to have him. I think he's got a beautiful pedigree. He also may like the off-going today. I hope he does. That might help us try to beat Hofberg. But so we're anxious to start him, get him going. He's a lovely horse with a beautiful pedigree.
Was this race kind of in mind for you, though?
You know, after I received him from the sale, when we bought him, it wasn't in mind. But once I saw the horse and saw his stature, and after I breezed him once, I could see that the 2 turns was a natural fit for him. I think he's definitely going to like the distance. And Avram Rhoda had been coming to Saratoga for a lot of years, and of course, all of our dreams would be to run in the Travers and have a chance. So we're hoping for a big race today, and that would inspire us to put him in a bigger race.
And you might have a chance with American Lincoln, too, who comes out of a good second last out in the Long Branch.
Yes, American Lincoln has done well. The last race at Monmouth, it was a paceless race, and I think that compromised him. Today, I expect him to be closer, and I think he'll like the off-track as well. So, you know, I think we have 2 legitimate chances in there.
Exciting stuff. Thank you so much for joining me today, Linda.
Thank you, Gabby.
All right, back to you, Greg.
Gabby, thank you. Nicodemus, American Lincoln, both trying to score the upset for Linda Rice in the Curlin against Hofberg. Still to come in our feature race this afternoon. We're going to take a break in the action. Still ahead, 2 millionaires that know each other well. Sadler's Joy finally outfinished High Happy in the Grade 1 Manhattan. They meet for a 4th straight start in the Bowling Green. That's coming up on Saturday. We'll preview that field when we come back.
This 3-time graded stakes winning millionaire defeated 20 Grade 1 winners. In the Dixie Stakes, he defeated Canadian champion and horse of the year Up With the Birds and set a new course record at Saratoga. Runner-up in the Grade 1 Manhattan and Shadwell Turf Mile, Ironicus ran 7 triple-digit buyers, including this score in the Fort Marcy Stakes. Half to 4 graded stakes winners, Ironicus has the speed, class, and bloodlines to become the next great sire by distorted humor. Ironicus at Claiborne Farm.
How do New York breds perform? They win in world-class company. From Grade 1 races in Dubai, where New York sired New York bred Mind Your Biscuits won the Golden Shaheen for a second time, to Belmont adding to his status as the richest New York bred with a close second in the Met Mile. The Belmont Festival saw 2 more New York breds become millionaires. 4-star Crook in the New York Stakes and world record setter Disco Partner with a repeat victory in the Jaipur. New York breds, get with the program.
We're back on Saratoga Live, presented by Claiborne Farm at the premier race meet in the entire country. We still have the Curlin to come for 3-year-olds with the return of Hofburg. First, it is race 8 coming up. We're going to check in with Maggie Wolfendale.
Thanks, Greg. And want to touch briefly on, we do have a late scratch here. Guys, I was kind of picking up on that with number 6, Powerful Alley. I saw Junior Alvarado kind of go back to him and really give him a big warm-up, and I knew he felt something wasn't quite right. So in the best interest of Powerful Ally, he is not going to play here today. But want to touch on Virtual Machine here, guys. He's a horse that going 2 back in his start at Parks, he bore out very badly. But you go back to that Monmouth effort, and he returned wearing an extension blinker. He is wearing the same equipment here today, so covering his right outside eye. He does break to the outside. We'll see if he can get any cover and get down to the rail anymore. But he's a horse that, you know, he has some back class. He can certainly be a player here. But in regards to warm-ups, the horse that really was throwing his toes out and just looked sensational over this track is number 5, Papa Shot. That record speaks for itself, and he knows it. He knows he likes a wet track. He is happy as can be out here. He's a little nervous in the paddock, which isn't out of the realm for him, but Manny Franco, kind of sensing that, gave him a good warm-up away from the pony, and he just was really just happy out here, and I like that. And Linda said, well, his odds are a little bit higher than what she thinks they should be, because she definitely feels as though she has a shot when she caught up with Gabby a bit earlier.
Welcome to Saratoga Live on Fox Sports 2 and other regional networks across the country. It's presented by Claiborne Farm. 100 years of doing the usual, unusually. Well, our feature race on this Friday afternoon, it is the Curlin. We, of course, have the Jim Dandy traditional prep for the Travers on Saturday. Hofburg instead lining up this afternoon for Hall of Fame trainer Bill Mott, coming off that 3rd-place finish in the Belmont. He is a heavy favorite. That is race 9 right now, though, the 8th race coming up. A competitive field if you're just tuning in. This race, 1 mile and an 1/8 in allowance optional claiming field. I'm Greg Wolf, joined by Paula Duca here upstairs as we overlook the racetrack. We had a late scratch of the 6-horse Powerful Alley in this spot, and Uncle Mojo, the 4 for Todd Pletcher, has been getting all the money throughout and now he is odds on at 4-5.
Yeah, and a lot of people that did like Power for Ali in the pick 4s in the Naira late pick 5, Naira bets late pick 5. You're going to go to Uncle Mojo, who now just clicked down to 3-5. I think the public's thinking he's going to control this race from the get-go, but us here and downstairs, Andy, we all think that this might be too short of a price. I think Flowers for Lisa, the 7, is going to keep him at least company for a little while, and even Tom's horse, the 3, All About Ashley.
And again, for those just tuning in, sloppy, sealed racetrack. We did get some rain earlier, although beautiful weather right now as we send it downstairs to Andy Serling. Now 3-5, Andy, on Uncle Mojo, but you've been talking about some other horses in here that offer great value.
Well, yeah, I mean, look at our picks. We've got 5 different picks, and none of them are Uncle Mojo. I fail to see the appeal of this horse. I know it's Todd Pletcher. I know he's stake face. He ran the Grade 1, but so what? I'm not saying he can't win. To me, this race is ripe with opportunity. Box a bunch of horses, get involved in this race, and try to beat Uncle Mojo. He's a terrible underlay.
Well, you have a horse like the 7, who we know loves an off track. He's 3-5 lifetime in the off going. Maggie alluded to Papa Shot before we reset our show. Just a freakish performance on a track that was labeled good at Belmont last summer. I was there for that, or last May, I should say. I mean, that was a lights-out performance from that horse.
Yeah, true. And you can argue that the 1 even moves up a little bit more on and off track. So that's why the 4 being 3-5 is a little bit confusing.
We are set for race 8 here in the sloppy going. There is Flowers for Lisa moving in line for Jorge Navarro. Let's send it upstairs to the voice of horse racing's Triple Crown for the call. Here's Larry Colmus.
Just one left to load here, Virtual Machine. Jose Lezcano looking for back-to-back scores today. 3-5 right now on Uncle Mojo, who will break from stall 4 here. Virtual Machine just a touch reluctant to come up to the starting gate as Uncle Mojo goes up 1 notch to 4-5, and the assistant starters work on getting Virtual Machine to come forward, and now he does, and we're ready for the start. They're all in line. They're off. Uncle Mojo broke sharply, so did Flowers for Lisa. These two out for the front together. All About Ashley, Sir Ballantyne, and Papa Shot are right behind as they move into that first turn. So it's going to be Flowers for Lisa to grab the lead from Uncle Mojo. Taking the early initiative here, Luis Saez sending this front runner to a 2-length early advantage. Uncle Mojo is second, and just in behind, All About Ashley third, Sir Ballantyne fourth, and Virtual Machine, Papa Shot between, and Cassie Story on the inside. 23.46, a very sharp opening quarter mile here for Flowers for Lisa, who leads them along up the backstretch with the favorite in pursuit. Uncle Mojo's a length back, running in second. All About Ashley is third on the outside of Sir Ballantyne. Cassie Story is sent through an opening on the inside of them. And then it's Papa Shot, who's got 5 lengths to make up, and the trailer is Virtual Machine. Flowers for Lisa rolling along through a 47.09 half mile. Almost a 2-length lead now on Uncle Mojo approaching the half-mile pole. Cassie Story is third, moving for the turn. Then All About Ashley. Sir Ballantyne's coming under pressure now from fifth. So too Papa Shot and Virtual Machine at the back of the pack. Flowers for Lisa still in control and opening up here to a 3-length lead. John Velasquez pumping on Uncle Mojo for more run. Cassie Story is third, trying to get going. Sir Ballantyne is next. They're coming to the top of the stretch. Flowers for Lisa has run 3/4 in 1:11.37 and turns for home with a 3-length lead. Flowers for Lisa to the 8th pole, holding on to this advantage from Uncle Mojo. Papa Shot has taken third. Cassie Story fourth. Flowers for Lisa still there, a 16th out. Uncle Mojo now getting farther behind. Flowers for Lisa comes under the wire. A convincing score here over Uncle Mojo. Papa Shot was third. Virtual Machine got fourth in 150.96.
Horse who'd been best on an off track does it one more time. Flowers for Lisa now 4 for 6 on the off going. And credit Luis Saez pays for his aggressiveness to get to the front.
Nail on head, nail on head. We've been talking about this, Andy, from the get-go. Who's going to be the most aggressive on these wet racetracks? And he won the race on the first turn when he decided, I'm going to go to the front end. You have to pass me.
Absolutely, Paul. I mean, it didn't matter how fast he went, right? Those were legitimate fractions he was setting out there. The point is to get for the front and make the others get brave. Uncle Mojo ran fine in chasing him, but he was no threat to run him down. I did not like Flowers for Lisa, but he was a dominating winner of this race, and I agree with you guys. Terrific ride, heads-up ride by Luis Saez, who's riding very well.
9-2 on the horse with, by far, the best record on an off-track in the field.
Yeah, and the rain helped Flowers for Lisa. Papa shot too. You just can't make up any ground when you got two horses of that quality. But yeah, Navarro, Luis Saez, those are connections that don't really go off at 9-2.
7-4-5 finish. Let's go to Maggie Wolfendale.
Clean horses win races, and so do jockeys too. As Louis, you've been out here for a couple of these races now, and were you just very attuned to the fact that speed's been great today?
So I finished my break, and I just sent in, and well, he was very comfortable, and
it was that easy. Wait, did he give you an inclination of how you're handling the track? It seemed as though others may have struggled.
When I was in right there.
Technical difficulties. We'll see if we can get that sorted out. Luis Saez, he is having a huge afternoon.
Yeah,
3 wins today for him, and as you said, he won this race from the jump.
Yeah, he did. He won this race from the jump. We have an inquiry for the 4th place finisher. I don't know what it is, but right now it is 7-4-5. We'll figure out what the inquiry is for 4th place. But yeah, Flowers for Lisa, gate to wire, and a heads-up ride by Saez. You know, listen, when you're in a zone, sometimes things just work out, and he was able to get this horse to the front end, put the favorite into the chase mode, and kept on going.
So 9-2, and it's in the stretch that the stewards are taking a look at things with the 4th place finisher, the 8-horse Virtual Machine. The inquiry sign is up, so we'll try and find out exactly what they're looking at here in just a moment. But Flowers for Lisa, 4 wins now from 6 starts on the off-going. Jorge Navarro, Luis Saez, and Flying P Stable, your winning connections.
I'm trying to look at another TV that you guys can't see me, and I'm trying to see if the 8 did anything.
Lugged in a little bit, right?
And it was very, very, very late. I'm surprised. Okay, we're going to show you the head-on. I want you to focus to the horse on the complete outside, the left part of your screen, not the horse that's pulling up, okay? Nothing is happening at all. You see the 5, Papa shot, now in 3rd, 3rd over. The horse now all the way left side of your screen starts coming in now, and I think that's what they're looking at, Greg.
Right there.
Yeah, right here he starts coming in, and he continues to come in. And listen, that's a lot of paths that come in that they might take this horse down for 4th.
Yeah, I would think that would be the case. That was pretty significant here. So 7-4-5, looks like the 8 may be coming down. Stewart's taking a long look at this, but he certainly came in quite a few paths. We'll take one more look at it here. Again, this is in the back of the pack there.
Pretty
significant, the 8 leaning
right?
in, absolutely.
Yeah, and you want to always look like, yesterday, you know, we had a nose loser, and it just, you know, decided the other way. This one was close for 4th. It was like about a neck, and it might have cost the horse 4th place, but they're still taking a look at it.
So, hey, excuse me, Luis Saez, again, 3rd winner on the afternoon. Having a big day as you get a look at the winner's circle there. And Flowers for Lisa, just too good. Uncle Mojo giving chase, but it was whoever got to the front first on anyone, unable to make up any ground on this horse.
Yeah, you make a really good point. And Luis Saez, you were talking how hot he is. He just now tied to the top with Javier Castellano. We always talk about the Ortiz brothers, and Castellano and Saez up top early though. But Jose Ortiz with only 3 wins so far. Yeah, a little catching up to do.
Let's not forget what
that
he
will
did.
Change, though.
I think it was the last 15 days or so. He just closed with a fury, wound up winning the meets. The Ortiz brothers, they are coming.
No, so. Yeah, you're right there. Yeah.
But yeah, tremendous start, nevertheless, by Saez and Castellano. So Flowers for Lisa. I'm still surprised. I mean, Andy kept talking about all the value in this race. That's great value, 9-2. on Flowers for Lisa, who was 3 for 5 on an off track.
Yeah, because even if you don't like the horse, it was value. You're right at 9-2 because we didn't like the favorite, and the stewards made the right call. They took the 8 down, who was interfering with Sir Ballantine.
So 7, 4, 5, 1. New order of finish. The 8 horse place behind the one for the interference caused. But Flowers for Lisa, impressive, and it's a racetrack today where you want to get in front. Being on the lead is definitely a good thing. So what does that mean for Hofberg coming up in the Curlin?
Well, listen, he might just be the best, and he is the best when it comes to numbers, but he's going to have to come from behind. Like, if it was a bigger field, I'd be a lot more worried for Hofberg. And I think a lot of people are pinning their hopes on him in the pick 5s and pick 4s. But I'd be a tiny bit worried the way this racetrack is playing.
And Madison's Luna.
He might be able to overcome it, though.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
He is much the best horse, you would think. This time of year, we could see horses improve. But if you're that good, sometimes class will prevail. Still, he'll be up against it.
Yeah.
And that is still to come, our feature race. The Curlin still ahead with the return of Belmont Stakes, 3rd place finisher Hofberg. Prices are in. Flowers for Lisa, $11.20 for the victory. Owned by Flying P Stable, trained by Jorge Navarro.
Yeah, Flower Alley gelding out of a Lemon Drop Kid mare. Indian Lisa now 10 for 35. You're seeing a couple pick 3s because of the scratch of the 6. But this time the favorite didn't win for you, so $51. This is very interesting because there were scratches. Whenever you played this ticket, you got favorite, and you got 3rd choice. So $51, still not bad for a pick 3. What is that?
A new racing fan, intently watching the races. If you're at Saratoga, it's the only place to be.
Is that a hawk?
It might have been. Interesting.
Majestic.
We have equine thoroughbred wildlife.
True.
The stars here, though, at Saratoga. And look at this Saturday Stakes schedule. The Amsterdam, the Grade 1 Vanderbilt. Grade 2 Bowling Green at a 1.3 over the turf. And, of course, 3-year-olds in the Jim Dandy traditional prep for the Travers with Justify out of the way in the 3-year-old division. Who will take over center stage in horse racing's glamour division? Coming up tomorrow, Vino Rosso for trainer Todd Pletcher. He's trying to win this race for the 7th time in his career, the even money favorite.
Yeah, and listen, he put the blinkers on 4 starts ago. It resulted in a Wood win. He's been a tiny disappointing. He was somewhat of the horse or the second choice that a lot of people thought he would be 2nd or 3rd in the Belmont. He ran a little disappointing and he ran 4th. But listen, he has got a little bit of class, the son of Curlin, and this was his Wood victory when he was able to get the best of Enticed. It's a short field of 5, and he's going to be one of the ones in here. I like another one in here, but you can't dismiss those Silks ever in New York.
Before that performance we just showed you there in the Wood, he was a horse that there was so much potential. His connections thought, when is he finally going to start to show it? He'd been working out in the mornings just like a superstar, but it never really translated to the afternoon until that Wood Memorial.
Yeah, he has. He's been the superstar in the morning. They've always said that, and that's what he was sort of the buzz horse going into the Kentucky Derby. This horse went off at 14-1 in a 20-horse field, and the Wood Memorial has not produced that many winners of late. So he got some buzz on Derby weekend. I just don't know if he's as good as Tenfold. I don't even know if he's as good as Reride. I'm not in love with him. I'm not.
Tenfold's pedigree, maybe he should have been running this afternoon, Andy. He's a son of Curlin, but we're going to see him on Saturday.
I don't know if he can overcome the speed track, but I agree with you. I'm with Paul in this one. I actually think that Tenfold is very dangerous here. I'm a huge fan and thought his Preakness was very, very good. You know, if you look at this race and watch the whole race, what you can see of it, Diamond King getting left, he sort of forced Tenfold into an uncomfortable position early and was never able to get into an easy rhythm in there. And because of that, Ricardo Santana moved too soon in there, and he kind of allowed Bravazzo to make that last move. But I think a Tenfold could have gotten lucky and actually won that race. Maybe not as the best horse have won. And then, of course, he got in some trouble, shuffled out in the Belmont Stakes. And I think Tenfold is moving forward and like his chances a lot. And I'm starting to think that Paul agrees with me.
Yeah, I'm with you. The problem is you got Flame Away, you got Reride. You got to hope they can go a little bit in Vino Rosso. I don't know if Vino Rosso has that seal the deal in him where I think Tenfold has that a little bit. I mean, here's the other part about this. Steve Atchison has gotten off to a great start to this meet, and Tenfold is in his barn for Winchell Thoroughbreds. I just think Tenfold's going to be a handful. I really do.
Well, another horse who we know is a handful, because trainer Dwayne Lucas has said he is a lot like his sire Tiz Now, who sometimes he would go to the racetrack. I remember the second time he tried to defend his Breeders' Cup Classic. He flat out would not train the week of the race. Still wound up winning a second consecutive Breeders' Cup Classic. Sporting Chance a little quirky as well, and he had a breakthrough moment in the Grade 1 hopeful as a 2-year-old right here at Saratoga.
Yeah, that's the thing about Sporting Chance. Take nothing away from Dwayne Lucas. Obviously a Hall of Famer, had a win and a good second here yesterday. This horse needs moisture in the racetrack to compete against these, I believe, and needs one turn, Andy. 2 turns, just, I don't think it's the gig for this horse.
I agree. You know, I'll tell you something, Paul.
Sporting Chance, you got to be in it to win it, says Dwayne Lucas. Here he is on his son of Tiz Now.
Well, they're all not alike, meaning horses, people, jockeys, whatever. But he has got some head problems, and I'm working on him all the time. He is a very big challenge for us. On his A game, his best game, he can run with anybody in the Jim Dandy. If he doesn't bring his A game, they'll beat him. The Jim Dandy is a good test because I think he ran well enough here and he likes the racetrack. He might be a little different, but he is a challenge every day for me, and I'm trying to get inside of his head.
Yeah, I mean, let me tell you, there was never a big race that Wayne Lucas was afraid to take a shot in, and he certainly won all of them, so he doesn't need to make any excuses. But I think, and I'm curious what the others think a little bit here, I think this could set Sporting Chance up perfectly to cut back in distance. The Allen Jerkins at 7 furlongs, the same 7 furlong distance that he won last year's Hopeful at. And I'd like to think, assuming he doesn't run a big race near, that maybe Wayne cuts him back and runs him in that race, and I think that's what he needs.
Well, let me interrupt the conversation 1 second. I want to talk all about Ashley, who just ran. He is fine. He did not complete the race. He had a little breathing issue. You could hear it down the lane, and Santana did the right thing. He pulled him up. As a precaution, they always van the horses home, but physically he's 100%, so we'll live to race another day, and that's a huge relief. It's very, very hard as a trainer to watch that happen and have that moment where you don't know what's wrong with a horse that's been so physically sound for you, but a great relief for me, and I'm sure for everybody else that All About Ashley's okay.
Absolutely glad to hear that. The last thing you want to see is a horse that's not okay, and we're glad to hear that and appreciate that, Tom.
All right, so good news to hear that. Obviously unfortunate to come here with a horse who has a shot in a wide open race, but most importantly, the horse is okay and will live to race another day. Back to Sporting Chance, though, for a moment. That Grade 1 hopeful, you see that horse completely duck out in the end of the hopeful. That just shows you how quirky and tough to ride he can be. So as a result, Dwayne Lucas went back to the rider who was aboard that day, says he has a better relationship with him really than any other rider. That's Luis Saez, who's been the hot hand today. Putting him back on board could make a difference.
It could make a difference. And blinkers were going to go on. You heard Dwayne say, listen, I'm trying to figure this horse out. And I'm telling you right now, they are going to push this horse to the front end. I know Flame Away's got a lot of speed, but they're going to get to the front end.
Tom Amos, I'm sure, is well aware of this as well. There's another 3-year-old race coming up this weekend. That is at Monmouth Park, and that is the Haskell Invitational. Tom will be sending out Lone Sailor. Joe Bravo aboard, 5-1 on the morning line. But the 2-year-old champ, the headliner, that is Good Magic.
Listen, we talked about this a little bit earlier. Is he now the best 3-year-old now that Justify is gone? He's gone away to stud. Well, he's punched Justify in the gut a couple times and was never able to beat him. I thought his Preakness was even a better race than he ran in the Derby when he ran a good second. It's his horse, it's race to lose. But again, another race that has quality 3-year-olds in it.
He battled Justify up on the front end in the Preakness. Again, that was not the game plan Connections wanted. And he hung around gamely for being only beaten a length. We'll see what happens. He certainly is the cream of the crop now. The 3-year-old's left, but he's got to prove it now as we take a look at Bravazzo, Dwayne Lucas, Luis Saez, and a horse making his first start since the Belmont.
And a horse that's finally getting a break. Danced all the dances. Risen Star, Louisiana Derby, in all 3 races of the Triple Crown. Him and Justify were the only 2, so coming in fresh.
3-time winner. Beat a half length in the Preakness. Let's check in with Gabby Gaudet.
Well, Greg, I was definitely very happy to be back at the barns this morning with trainer D. Wayne Lucas. We talked about life, racing, his new book that is coming out, scheduled to come out actually before the end of the Saratoga meeting. So very exciting about that. But we also checked in with Bravazzo and talking to D. Wayne Lucas, trying to get a grasp of what he will be like in the 3-year-old picture moving forward. Now that Justify is not in the picture anymore, what are your confidence levels like him blossoming in this 3-year-old division?
Way up here. I think he's one of those warriors. He's tough. He's sound. He survived. He's the only one that's running in the Haskell that's made all 3 dances and the prep races. And I think he's better right now than he was at any time I've had him. That, I think, is... We're doing a good job with him. I look for a tremendous effort from him. I look at him every day. This morning when I got back, I said, lead him over. Here we go. I feel really confident.
So D. Wayne Lucas, very confident. As for Tom Amos, said he chose this spot over the Jim Dandy because he needs some pace to run it. And Tom, your horse really ran too good to lose last start in the Ohio Derby.
Yeah, and I think he ran against an up-and-comer who is going to be in the Haskell and Core Beliefs. I think that is a horse to watch the second half of the year, lightly raced and one to beat. I was in the Preakness barn with all those horses, and I got a chance to look closely at each one of them. The thing that struck me about Good Magic is he's not a very big horse. Coming back in 2 weeks after a huge effort in the Kentucky Derby may have been too much for him. The freshening up, he's the one to beat, no question about it.
Did you give some money to the guards to let you get so close to those horses, Tom?
Yeah, we were all in the barn together, my friend.
Only beat 2 lengths in the Preakness, Lone Sailor, and he came back and ran huge in the Ohio Derby. We shall see. 5-1 in the Haskell. The Curlin is next. Hofberg making his return, his first start back since his 3rd-place performance in the 3rd and final leg of the Triple Crown in the Belmont Stakes. He is 1-5 on the board. But we have an off track. We are at the Graveyard of Champions. What will happen? The Curlin with Hofberg is coming up next.
They're on. Bet the horses anywhere, anytime with Naira Bets. Rushes out of there to take the lead. It's easy on your computer or Naira Bets app. Earn valuable reward points on bets. Play in our exclusive promotions and earn cash rebates. Sign up now. Bet $200 and get $200. Bet any track, anywhere, anytime. NairaBets.com.
Once again, among the world's leading sires of stakes horses and graded stakes horses, Warfront has sired 8 champions and 8 millionaires. Recent Grade 1 winners include Lancaster Bomber, American Patriot, Avenge, Roly-Poly, War Flag, and Europe's 2017 champion 2-year-old colt, U.S. Navy Flag. In the sales ring, his yearlings continue to bring prices well over $1 million. International Super Sire Warfront, standing at Claiborne Farm.
Visit Rivers Casino and Resort, upstate New York's ultimate entertainment destination, with live table game action and the hottest new slots paying out millions. Book your luxury waterfront room or suite at upstate New York's premier resort, the Landing Hotel at Rivers Casino and Resort.
One, two, three, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Hello, hello, Greg Wolf. Welcome to Saratoga. Sure. Back on Saratoga Live on Fox Sports 2 and other regional networks across the country. It is time for our feature race. Coming up, 3-year-olds taking center stage today and tomorrow, with the Curlin coming up here on Friday, and of course the Jim Dandy on Saturday. There is Hofberg for Hall of Fame trainer Bill Mott, the son of Tappet. Third place finisher in the Belmont Stakes. He competed in the Kentucky Derby, and he was second to last for a long, long ways in that Kentucky Derby, and then he started gobbling up a lot of ground on that sloppy racetrack. We're going to check in now with Maggie Wolfendale. It's a Paddock Report time, brought to you by Hillendale Farm, now standing Curlin for $150,000.
Thanks, Greg. And kind of interesting that the 3 inside stalls here, all sons of Tappet, as we'll take a look at a Hofberg here, your overwhelming favorite, and rightfully so based on his accomplishments. And he looks great, and he looks extremely fit, having a little time off in between the Belmont Stakes and this Curlin. This spot makes sense. Look, he's still eligible for an A other than condition, to be quite honest, but he has progressed nicely through his races for trainer Bill Mott, and it's evident in his physicality. Thing is, though, is while he handled the sloppy going for sure in that Kentucky Derby, I'm still kind of on the fence if he actually excels on it. Granted, he might not need to excel here because he is possibly just better than the rest of his foes here, but he doesn't have early speed. That does concern me over this track. One who does have that early speed, though, is number 2 in here, Madison's Luna. And if this was any other day, I would not like this horse at all. But the fact that it has been kind to early speed makes Madison's Luna a horse that, while he doesn't look physically capable of a 1.125 moves him up here a bit. As he looks good from the overall sense, he is just a smaller type where he just looks more suited to that 7/8/1 turn mile. So we'll see how he does over this surface. And it's also a surface that he didn't quite handle down at Churchill in the Pat Day mile, though that was a pretty wicked pace. Moving on to the lightly raced contender in here, and coming off the back of a maiden score at Ellis Park and purchased at the Fasig-Tipton Horses and Training Stable for a nice sum, as we'll take a look at Nicodemus, very good-looking son of Candy Ride. I like this horse a lot. He has a very classy look to him as well. Those big, wide-set eyes, very honest appearance to him, and this big walk. And look, yes, he's another one that does like to close or come from off of it here a bit, but we'll see what Linda can do with him overall. He's an interesting horse. I don't know if he's necessarily a win candidate or an upset candidate to Hofberg, but he's one I'm going to be keeping my eye on because I think there's some talent here with Nicodemus, Greg.
Just career start number 3 for that son of Candy Ride, 1 of 2 in the race for trainer Linda Rice. 8-1 on Nicodemus, coming off a maiden score, just 1 win on his resume, but that is also the case for Hofberg. His only win, a maiden score at Gulfstream, although he did compete in 2 of the 3 legs of the Triple Crown, hitting the board in the Belmont Stakes. Hofberg, 1-5 on the board. He is the one to beat. We'll be back with the Curlin next.
Switches back to the outside. Exaggerator down to the 16th pole, but Exaggerator has turned the tables. He has won the Preakness. He has won the Travers over American Flag. Irish War Cry has won the Wood Memorial. Alice. Good Magic's gonna win his first race, and he's gonna do it as the Breeders' Cup Juvenile.
They're on. Bet the horses anywhere, anytime with Naira Bets. Rushes out of there to take the lead. It's easy on your computer or Naira Bets app. Earn valuable reward points on bets. Play in our exclusive promotions and earn cash rebates.
Off the turn with a link to the half lead.
Sign up now. Bet $200 and get $200.
The dramatic finish.
Bet any track, anywhere, anytime. NairaBets.com.
And here's that showdown. Lawyer Ron and Carlin with 1 furlong to go in the Jockey Club Gold Cup. It's Lawyer Ron fully extended. Carlin running his heart out today. Down to the finish. Lawyer Ron. Carlin coming with those giant strides to defeat Lawyer Ron. Carlin wins by a head in an exhilarating stretch run here.
This is Saratoga Live on Fox Sports 2 and other regional networks across the country. Greg Wolf, Paula Duca, Andy Serling, Tom Amos, Gabby Gaudette, Maggie Wolfendale with you. It is time for our feature coming up. Hofberg, third place finisher in the Belmont Stakes, getting set for the second half of his sophomore season. As we get set for our post-parade coming up, and we will see Hofberg. First, he is 1-5 on the board for trainer Bill Mott with Irad Ortiz Jr.
Only the racetrack can get him beaten in this race. He is too much horse for this field.
Madison's Luna, second start of his career. He won the Grade 3 Hutchison. Very quick runner for Phil Bauer.
Yeah, look, never been further than a mile and never been 2 turns in his life. I think this horse would be a huge surprise in the winner's circle.
Zing Zang, sent out by Steve Asmussen, Ricardo Santana Jr. on board for Jackpot Ranch.
In some ways, on paper, he's the likeliest second-place finisher, but he, too, possesses no speed.
Trainer Linda Rice sends out 2 in the race. Here's the first of them, Nicodemus, the son of Candy Ride with Manny Franco aboard.
I saw him 2 weeks ago. He was offered for sale at the Fazzy-Tipton sale by Windstar. He RNA'd for $270,000, finds himself in Linda Rice's barn, and they're looking to make a quick return on investment.
And here's American Lincoln, the other Linda Rice runner, a son of Street Sense who Curlin beat back in the 2007 Breeders' Cup Classic.
Always root for horses that spent the winter with us at Aqueduct, but this horse looks a little over his head.
Junior Alvarado rides the 5 on the board at 7-1 right now. So that is your field for the 10th running of the Curlin. Hofberg's connections, wondering, should they go in this spot? Should they go in Saturday's Jim Dandy? They chose to go with this spot instead. The target, of course, is the Travers.
Yeah, listen, like I had said earlier, this is Hofberg's home track. You know, he trains here. Bill Mott's had him up here. He's been on the training track. And like I said, you know, he broke his maiden in his second career start, and he got thrusted right into a Grade 1 and did not disgrace himself against a good horse named Audible, who was 3rd in the Kentucky Derby. So he's lightly raced, and he can be scary that, you know, he could crush this field. But the worry is the racetrack, and he's got no early speed.
You can play the Curlin in all the races we show you each and every day here on Saratoga Live by getting signed up and started with Naira Bets. Get $20 just for signing up with Free Play Friday. You must enter the promo code BETSPA to get your free $20 to bet the Curlin Stakes. Free $20 play is only available until 5:30 Eastern today. Visit NairaBets.com/free play for details as we send it downstairs to Andy and trainer Tom Amos.
Tom, we know Hofberg's too much horse for these. The question is, how can he get beaten? Now, obviously, the most likely thing is he gets wired in the front end. The 2 Madison's Luna is the clear speed. You're the trainer of Madison's Luna. What do you tell jockey Julian Leperoux?
You got to go. You got to go. You got to clear the field and go hard. Absolutely. You've watched the races. They've been very formful today, but everything that's won has won on the front end. So I think you have to go if you're Madison's Luna. The question on that horse is twofold. Number one, Can Madison's Luna get the distance of 1 1/8? When you watch those replays, he tends to get his head high in the air towards the end of the finish. That makes me nervous. And the second thing, he's never been 2 turns. He's got to negotiate the turns well.
Right. I mean, he's a huge question mark regardless, but I think the worst thing they could do is to nurse him along in the lead and let everybody else in the race. Open 5. Do what Flowers for Lisa did. Make the field get brave, because he has the speed to be in front by 10 in this race if he wants to be.
Yeah, and look, Hofberg needs speed, right? So something's got to go with Madison's Luna to set up his late run for him to have any chance at all to get beat.
I agree, but Hofberg is a very good horse. I mean, I'm not sure that he wouldn't be favored if he ran the Jim Dandy tomorrow.
I can go for that. And look, he's the only horse in the Kentucky Derby that closed the last half a mile. He showed a brilliant little move late in the race, flying at the end. He's got quality.
Now, this is a horse for Bill Mott that we're going to hear something from during the end of this year, and we're going to hear from next year as well. The number 3, Zing Zang for Steve Asmussen. I guess when you look at speed figures, he seems to consistently be the 3rd fastest horse, and he closed last time in a race on Belmont. That was the Belmont Stakes car, the last race of the day, where the speeds ran 1-2 around the racetrack. He actually ran okay that day, but boy, is he pace compromised. But if the 2 can't negotiate the distance, the race just falls apart.
Yeah, look, Zing Zang added blinkers for his last 2 starts. It made a difference, particularly in the last start. But to put him in the winner's circle, I have to put a lot of ifs into this race. I don't think there are enough ifs to put Zing Zang in the winner's circle.
Is he the most likely 2nd place finisher, though?
Well, that's a good question. I think Nicodemus is going to try to show some speed, the 4 horse. I think that's going to compromise him somewhat. Madison's Luna, I don't like at all going this distance. So it's either him or the 5 American Lincoln, and I think he's a better horse than American Lincoln.
Yeah, Nicodemus, a lightly raced horse, obviously has room to improve, and privately purchased by Linda Rice after you had mentioned to me he RNA'd at a Fasig-Tipton sale?
Yeah, we have a horse of racing age sale. It happened literally 3 days after he ran, or 4 days after he ran at Ellis Park. It's a very popular sale. He RNA'd for a lot of money. Windstar offered him for $270,000. They bought him back. Obviously, a deal was made after that.
Well, you want to talk about the whole field, but the field might just be Hofberg, Greg.
2 to 5 on that horse right there. That is Hofberg. When he ran over a sloppy track in the Kentucky Derby, he was near dead last, and then he just started gobbling up ground, closing with a fury. Trying to pick up the 2nd win of his career. The Curlin is next.
His record-breaking accomplishments on the racetrack paved his way here to the Stall of Legends. Now retired to stud, we welcome the dawning of a new era as this esteemed champion hopes to stake his claim to immortality. His blazing speed and striking good looks have been passed down to his remarkable first foals. Foals that will carry the flag of their famous father and one day hope to break records of their own. Medication-free and undefeated in sprint competition. Run happy, standing at Claiborne Farm.
Junior's trying to scratch another horse here.
Back on Saratoga Live, kicking off our weekend here on this Friday with the Curlin for 3-year-olds, all about Hofberg as he tries to make his way to the Travers with a successful prep. Let's go to Maggie Wolfendale for more.
Thanks, Greg. Out here on the track, watching these horses warm up, and want to touch on Hofberg. Look, I don't remember him getting this hot. Yes, it is steamy out here. I'm not going to lie. I'm sweating myself, and so is Jaeger here. But he's definitely gotten the hottest of any of the horses out here overall. So I don't love that about him because I don't remember him being that way for any of his other starts. So like I said before, he can just win. It might not even be his A effort, and he can still win here. Another horse that I thought got an interesting warm-up and may have not been liking the track that much was number 5 in here, American Lincoln. Junior Alvarado very aggressively trying to get him engaged and kind of asking him with the stick, and he really didn't respond. And that usually shows you a horse that isn't loving the surface, isn't finding that push away from it as much as they would like to. So those were some cautious things I noticed here. But the horse that I liked, once again, in the paddock and out in the track, I don't think he's necessarily win candidate, but I'm going to try to get him into the exacta here with Hofberg, is number 7, Nicodemus, Greg.
Yeah, Nicodemus, actually the 4 horse, but it's 7-1 on the board. So, wow, Nicodemus lightly raced for Linda Rice. Catching the eye, Maggie Wolfendale.
Yeah, it looks well on the racetrack. And these Candy rides, or son of Candy rides, they do love moisture in the racetrack. There you see the pick bar there. And a couple of us taking our shots against Gabby and Maggie Wolfendale posing as Tom Amos is picking Nicodemus.
And Nicodemus, when the guys downstairs keep saying this horse RNA, that means did not meet his reserve at auction. As we send it back downstairs, and Maggie liking the looks of the 4, but obviously we all believe Hoffer is going to be making that late run in this race. He's going to be tough to deal with.
Yeah, I mean, he just towers over these horses on paper. And I think, you know, obviously he's a huge favorite, but, you know, this is a very, very good horse.
Yeah, he is indeed. And he's a horse that's going to get 1 1/8 today, a distance that a lot of these are unproven at, and something that he certainly can get the distance of. I mean, to me, it's one of those races where when they come down the stretch, the finish is already determined.
It's not out of the question, assuming a good performance today, that the one Hofberg is favored in the Travers. But I know that Gabby obviously likes Madison
That's
Luna.
big.
I mean, it's not impossible, is it, Tom?
Well, let's see. If Good Magic wins on Sunday, he's the favorite, period.
There's a lot of ifs out there right now, but one thing I'm sure of is that Gabby Gaudette likes Madison's Luna.
Thanks, Andy. Yeah, I'm taking a little bit of a shot just given the pace dynamics here. Obviously, I do think that Madison's Luna is going to be in a position to control on the front end. Obviously, the distance is a big question mark, but he does have the pedigree to do so. He's by Tappet, and he's a half-brother to Tara's Tango, who's a Grade 1 winner, also a Stone Street horse, trained by Jerry Hollendorfer. So I just think he's intriguing, and I'm not convinced that he doesn't like these conditions today. So we'll see what happens, but taking a shot with the 2 Madison's Luna, Greg.
Loading up for the Curlin, you have wanted to be on or near the lead on this afternoon on this kind of racetrack here at Saratoga. Will Hofberg be able to overcome that? The only time he was on a sloppy track, gobbled up a lot of ground late in the Kentucky Derby, but he was very far back. He's an odds-on favorite. 1-5 on the board in his return. Send it upstairs to the voice of horse racing's Triple Crown for the call. Here is Larry Colmus.
All set. They're off in the Curlin. Hofberg broke fine, but he'll take his normal position at the rear of the field as they make their way toward that first turn. It is Madison's Luna with early company from American Lincoln on the outside. Zing Zang is in behind them. And then comes Nicodemus, and Hofberg will be last of the 5, and he's about 7 lengths off of American Lincoln, who will take the initiative here under Junior Alvarado and get away to lead them by 2 lengths onto the backstretch. Ran a very fast quarter, though, in 23.25 seconds. And now they appear to be settling down for their backstretch run. Madison's Luna is second and now a length behind, and here's Zing Zang on the inside. Nicodemus follows in 4th, and Hofberg just lingering along at the back of the field. He's not far behind. He's just 2.5 lengths off the lead as they tighten up the backstretch. 47.81. The pace has moderated here as American Lincoln leads the way by just a half length. Madison's Luna, Zing Zang, and now Hofberg grabs 4th on the outside as they make their way into the far turn. American Lincoln on top. The lead 1.5 lengths. Nicodemus is second as they make their way around the turn, and Hofberg is just to the outside of them. It's 2.5 lengths to Zing Zang in fourth, and Madison's Luna has retreated to the rear of the field. Nicodemus grabs the lead, but Huffberg comes on the attack now, and the two of them will take him to the top of the stretch, 1-2. American Lincoln has backpedaled on the inside, and Zing Zang comes wide. They're into the stretch, and it's Huffberg in front. Huffberg and Arad Ortiz come down to the 8th pole, pulling away from Nicodemus and Zing Zang, and it is Huffberg in complete control here. Nicodemus is 5 lengths behind as Huffberg cruises in the Curlin, and it's on to the Travers. Huffberg wins it by 4.5 lengths over Nicodemus. Zing Zang was third, and American Lincoln was fourth. The final time was 1 minute 50.18 seconds.
Huffberg gets it done, and he gets it done with relative ease here for just the second win of his career.
He overwhelmed him on paper, Tom. He overwhelmed him on the racetrack.
He did indeed. You know, when you wonder why he was so close to a quick pace, oftentimes class allows horses to be closer to pace if it's not the caliber horses in front of him that he normally faces. And how about ridden to the wire the way Ortiz rode him to the wire? Perhaps they're thinking Travers, they need to get a lot out of this race.
I agree. Hadn't run since the Belmont. Want to get some riding. Good call by Maggie on the 4.
Yeah, you make a good point, because right out of the get, you could see that the 2 Madison's Luna and the 5 American Lincoln were getting ridden like quarter horses, and Zing Zang and Huffberg were like right on the pace. So basically, 2 dead closers that close. You knew the race was over on the backside. Nicodemus has got a nice little future for his 3rd career start. That was a pretty good effort.
So Irad Ortiz Jr., he was keeping Huffberg a little bit busy with a stick in the stretch. Then he took a look underneath his shoulder. He saw no one was close, and he said, okay, I can wrap up now.
Yeah, right?
Let's go to Maggie Wolfendale for more.
And out here on the racetrack, one of the first jockeys that we see coming back a little dirty, but it didn't matter. Irad last year.
Yes, he's in a good spot today. Bill Man always do a great job. He brings it ready. I don't want to miss too much with him. I just going to the first turn. We try to be a little closer today with this field. Small field, the track is sealed. Not too much horses come from off the pace, so we close in the first turn. I just put it clear and try to dominate and work out good for us. He was.
All right, Irad, thank you. And congratulations, Huffberg, on first.
Thank you.
Again, we apologize for those technical difficulties. Irad Ortiz Jr., well done on Huffberg here, son of Tappet. Impressive performance, and he is on to the Travers.
Yeah, he is. And he's an interesting horse. He really is, because he was so lightly raced. And a horse that likes this race course. We talked about it. This is his home court. This is home court advantage for him, and he could be dangerous in the Travers.
Remember, he was the wise guy horse in that Belmont, as people who thought maybe the horse that could spring the upset, if anybody could, and spoil a Triple Crown bid of Justify.
Well, you know, Bill Mott before the Derby had said, listen, I wish I had another 2 months with this horse, because he just needs to mature a little bit more. Today he matured a little bit more. He's going to have to mature a little bit more. We'll see what happens in the Haskell. But when it comes to Travers Day, but he seems like he's getting a lot better and better with each start.
Yeah, I mean, to your point, they actually didn't think they'd make it. They were thinking Travers really all along with this horse, and then he kind of surprised him, ran so good in the Florida Derby, he qualified for the Kentucky Derbies. We take another look at his winning move.
Yeah, the move was just made perfectly, you know what I mean? He always kept the horse in the right sides. He knew that he had to beat the 4, because Nicodemus was traveling well, and Manuel Franco kept looking behind. But Irad knew he had him pegged, and right here the race is over. But you make a good point. He hasn't raced since the Belmont. He's fit, right? But we're going to get him a little bit more fitter. Let's keep hitting him. Let's keep riding him. This race is over with. Now Irad goes, okay, I looked, I'm done, it's over with, but we got enough out of this race. And like I said, I thought Nicodemus ran a very good and gallant second here.
But no one was getting a Huffberg in this spot. Very impressive performance, and going off this now and into the Travers. Look, he's won on this racetrack here. Now we know he likes Saratoga. He's going to be very tough to handle in that spot. We'll wait to see what happens, obviously, in the Jim Dandy on Saturday and the Haskell as well at Monmouth. But this is a very impressive horse.
It is, and good magic, whatever happens tomorrow in the Haskell, as you see Huffberg going to go in and get his trophy for the 10th running of the Curlin. It's a race that Chad Brown wants to win very bad, the Travers, almost as much as the Derby, because he's from around here. So
he wants it more than the Derby. It means more to him than the Kentucky Derby. I grew up in Mechanicville, very close to here. It's what he dreams about. And remember, not only does he have good magic, schedule got thrown off a little bit with Gronkowski. Likely still going to have Gronkowski as well, who made that monster move in the Belmont to run second.
And it's hard to pull off that Haskell-Travers double, you know? So is Gronkowski his Travers horse or not? As you see the prices, Hofberger, tap it out of the Touch Gold mare, that good Touch Gold mare. Oh, excuse me, it's still in the paddock. But $2.50, you know, Hofberg comes back. But what I was alluding to, yeah, you make a good point. And, like, what does Chad have? Where's he going with this and that? Because, you know, I'm not going to crown Hofberg as the man yet, because good magic still is the 3-year-old to me, so we'll see what happens tomorrow.
But it definitely is interesting as we look at Hall of Famer Bill Mott talking with Irad Ortiz Jr. We talked about how lightly raced this horse is, how he's slowly developed, getting better and better, and clearly looks like he is taking that next step. Now, look, he didn't beat any stars in this race, but he won impressively, wasn't asked for much, and it looks like a horse who's just getting better and better with every start.
Yeah, I hate when people knock horses for just winning the way they're supposed to win. Like, everybody was thinking, okay, we all took shots against Hofberg. You know, we picked him here and there, but we all thought he was vulnerable. Well, he was not. He crushed his field. So give the horse some credit. And I know he didn't beat much, but still, you win. When you hit 400 in Double-A, you still hit 400 in Double-A. I don't care. And there you see the late pick 5 follow along for Naira Betts. I still think you'll be surprised with the payoffs.
And yeah, the most wide open race of the entire card still to come is Bill Mott and Irad Ortiz Jr. Maybe talk a little Travers strategy ahead, because that is what is next for this son of Tappet, the main event for the 3-year-olds at this meet. Let's go downstairs to Gabby Gaudet.
Greg here with winning trainer Bill Mott. Bill, was this the performance you were hoping for from Hofberg today?
Yeah, I thought so. I thought it ended up well. I mean, he cruised well through the stretch. Irad looked like he reached and gave him a couple little straps at the 8th pole just to keep him going, try to teach him, make him finish up. And then it seemed like he finished up very nicely from the 16th pole or 8th pole to the wire. It looked like he was doing it well within himself there.
It looked like Irad, or at least was commenting to you before we came on air, just saying that he had to keep his attention. Do you think that this is a horse that's still learning?
Well, I think so. I mean, the track's not very good. It's a little deep and mucky, and he said he started him a little bit, leaving the half-mile pole, just getting him, starting to get him in gear and starting to get his momentum. But he felt like once he leveled off, he felt he was going really well at the wire.
A performance like this, does this make you feel good moving forward to the Travers?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, the horse got a little hot and a little anxious and maybe even a little agitated in the paddock. I mean, I think he was, I think he really needed to run. I think he needed this, and hopefully this will be better. I'd like to see him, we run back in the Travers. I'd like to see him behave a little better. I mean, just not be so anxious. I mean, he was great in the Belmont. He stood, we were in the paddock for 45 minutes there, and he handled it well. He was a little more anxious today, and I think it was time for him to come to the races.
Congratulations, Bill.
Thank you.
All right, we'll let him go take the picture with the trophy, but today, Hofberg, a very impressive performance in the Curlin.
Gabby, thank you very much. Remember last summer? Horse who had been running on the turf, and all of a sudden he switches into dirt in the Jim Dandy. Good Samaritan became a horse that we thought would be the big one in the Travers. Of course, Jim Dandy turned out to be his big moment, but now Hofberg looks like he could be the now horse in the 3-year-old division heading to the Travers.
Yeah, congratulations to Judd Mott Farms, the son of Tappet out of the Touch Gold mare's Soothing Touch. And Maggie Wolfendale's pretty good, isn't she? She said right before the race, I hadn't seen Hofberg be so anxious and so sweaty. It is a little hot out, but she had him spot on, and even Bill even said it right there. I need to get that anxiety out of him. He is still growing. He's going to be a factor going on forward to 2018.
Yes, he is. We're going to see him again at this meet in the Travers. Of course, tomorrow, the Jim Dandy, who will meet him in mid-August. We're going to find out on Saturday here on the show, but that was impressive for this son of Tappet. We still have another race to come here on this Friday afternoon. New York Breds in a $25,000 maiden claiming event, 6.5 furlongs, and a lot of us talked about this going in. This race completely wide open, a real puzzle.
It really is. The two Danny Gargan horses taking all the money right now, at least some of the money. Lady Vicky the 1 and the 11 Wappinger. Wide open group, tough group. Hopefully you're alive.
We're going to take a break in the action. We'll be back. More Saratoga Live to come. Stay with us.
This successful son of AP Indy has sired 6 millionaires, including 2017 Eclipse champion 3-year-old West Coast. A dominant winner of the Grade 1 Travers and Pennsylvania Derby, West Coast also placed in the Breeders' Cup Classic and was runner-up in the $16 million Pegasus World Cup. In the sales ring, juveniles by Flatter brought up to $600,000, and his yearlings sold up to $460,000. Flatter, standing at Claiborne Farm.
They're off. Bet the horses anywhere, anytime with Naira Bets. Rushes out of there to take the lead. It's easy on your computer or Naira Bets app. Earn valuable reward points on bets. Play in our exclusive promotions and earn cash rebates. Sign up now. Bet $200 and get $200. Bet any track, anywhere, anytime. NairaBets.com.
You're watching Saratoga Live on a somewhat thunderstormy afternoon here at Saratoga. On and off storms, but been some great racing. Great racing indeed. Hofberg stamping his ticket to the Travers coming up in just about 4 weeks here at Saratoga with a very easy win in the Curlin, the heavy favorite. Andy Serling and Tom Amos down in our Paddock studio. You'll be hearing from both Paul LaDuca, Greg Wolf, and the rest of the team a little bit later, but it's been a fun afternoon here, and the action's going to heat up tomorrow, Tom. The Bowling Green coming up, and horses that interest me in this race are 4 horses, starting with the 2 Channel Maker, the 6 Sadler's Joy, the 7 High Happy, and the 9 Manitoulin. And they're coming out of the Manhattan from Belmont Stakes Day, and I thought there were trips galore in that race.
There were trips galore, and that is the key race that we're coming into the Bowling Green with. High Happy, you know, really set a pretty lively pace in the front end, was able to hang on. You've got to give him credit for that. But the one horse of all 4, to me, that had the toughest trip, Channel Maker. He ran the worst of all 4, but he had the toughest trip. And he had a terrible trip at Churchill in the Turf Classic. So you've got back-to-back tough trips for him. You're going to get a price.
He's my top choice in here, and he never had a chance to run with Jose Ortiz. He just rode him like he was surprised he had horse. Manitoulin didn't have a good trip either. He was 4 wide around the track. High Happy probably had the best trip of all. And I thought that Sadler's Joy moved too soon in this race. A tricky horse to ride, but I thought Javier moved way too early with him.
To me, that pace was pretty lively. It flattered the close of a lot of horses. I give a lot of credit to High Happy on the front end of Todd Fletcher.
Let's hear from Stradler's Joy's trainer, Tom Albertrani.
Oh, he's been doing really well. Came out of Manhattan training well. I thought he ran a huge race to, be second and cutting him back in distance, going a mile and a quarter, which probably isn't his preferred distance. So now we're going to add another eighth of a mile to the weekend. And yeah, I think the horse has been training well, and hopefully he comes back and runs his race as always. He just seems to be very consistent, and all he has to do is run back his races and get the trip, and hopefully he'll be right there.
2 years ago, the multiple Grade 1 and Group 1 winning Flincher stamped his ticket to the Sword Dancer. He was going anyway, but he had an interesting win in the 2016 Bowling Green. And of course, Flincher stands at Hillendale. And let's take a look at his Bowling Green. Let's take a little look at Flincher.
He was a very durable racehorse. He had 23 lifetime starts. He won $9.5 million. He raced in Dubai, France, Hong Kong, America, England, always at the highest level, and competed with some of the best in the world.
And he's got a pedigree by Dan Silly out of Sadler's Wells mare that is second to none. And such a super horse to watch, and such a super horse to be around. And I just love him. He was so durable. He ran till he was 6 years old, won, I think, 5 Grade 1 races. And I'm sure Chad Brown would tell you that he had a better turn of foot than any turf horse that I've seen over the last many years.
Well, Flincher had an outstanding career. I was lucky to have him his final year racing, and this horse had the best turn of foot of any turf horse I've ever trained.
I think the Manhattan in 16 was probably the race that really stuck out to me. He came home like a freight train. He came home 24, 23, 22, 21. This is a horse that got faster as the race went on, and not many can do that.
And Flincher is coming storming down the center of the course, and he's found his best stride, and he strikes the front. And Flincher is moving away from his competition late. Flincher comes to the United States and wins the Woodford Reserve Manhattan by 2.5 lengths.
I'm very confident that he's going to be a great stallion. I look forward to training his offspring.
And one of the main reasons we invested in this horse was Chad Brown was very adamant that this horse could have been equally as effective at a mile. He had push-button acceleration. All he had to do was ask, and boom. It didn't matter where he was.
I think it's very important also his attitude as a sire. He's really taken to his new job as a stallion, and he's just such a pro, and his foals look like they are getting that attitude and spirit that Flincher had, and we are very, very excited about the future.
He's taken to his new job very well, and one of the things that should be noted about him, I think last year he bred 120 mares and he had 118 pregnancies. So his fertility is off the charts. He's going to get every opportunity with the caliber of mares that we've bred to him, Hillendale, Juddmonte, China Horse Club. There's no question. He's doing very well, loves his job.
Flincher, he was an international superstar, just an incredible turn of foot, and a 2-time Grade 1 winner right here at Saratoga.
That last eighth is brilliant. We were here that day. We covered that race. He really quickened the last eighth of a mile.
Won Group 1s or Grade 1s in France, in Hong Kong, and here in the United States as well. He did it everywhere he went. He was sensational.
I want to do this one time on a racehorse. Just go like this. Ha ha. Ha ha.
Right? You might be going, ah! He's going too fast.
Yeah, right? He is a star, and now at Hillendale Farm. We're going to take a break in the action. We will be back. The finale from Saratoga. Great betting race coming up. Stay with us.
Turning for home in front. Coast of New York on the outside. California Chrome is third. Shared Belief laboring back there in fifth. 1 furlong to run. Bayern, Coast of New York. California Chrome on the outside. The three of them come to the wire. Bayern
Test 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10.
Back on Saratoga Live on Fox Sports 2 and other regional networks across the country. We saw Hofberg win the Curlin in our feature race, and now the most competitive race on the card, the finale coming up. New York Breds in a $25,000 maiden climbing event, 6.5 furlongs, so competitive. Our favorite at 4-1 on the board right now.
Down to 7-2. Lady Vicky, who draws the inside post position, and the value there may just be that she's coming out of a higher level maiden races, dropping down in class. This is one of Gargan's, the trainer, Danny Gargan's big moves. He wins a lot when he does this, Paul.
Yeah, this is a horse that's been behind Trini Ninja, the 10. The worry that I have with the one Lady Vicky is that, you know, they've tinkered with her with blinkers or not. I actually prefer the other Danny Gargan, Wappinger.
Time for a paddock report. Let's check in with Maggie Wolfendale. It's brought to you by Hillendale Farm, now standing Curlin for $150,000.
And Greg, is getting a little dark out here once again as we'll check in with a horse who appears to be only making her second career start, but third card down last time, was entered in a maiden 40 going 6 on the turf, and she actually flipped and fell over and then got loose. So obviously was a late scratch that day, but now she's back in this 25 on the main track, though a wet main track. I actually think she might appreciate the going here as she does get those blinkers on and Lasix, and now she's starting to look stronger and stronger here for trainer Charlie Baker, who is always dangerous. Number 7 is One Cool Kitten. She wasn't great, I would say, in her debut in that race at Tequila Sunday, got DQ'd, but she looks fantastic here. She gets Lasix now, and she definitely has to be the pick of the paddock. She is forward, she is sharp, and she did show that early speed in her previous effort. Number 9 is Allie's All Out for trainer Gary Gullo, as she will look to have a bit of early pace as well, and I'm hoping that's the case. As David Cohen climbs aboard, he can be fairly aggressive, and I like the development behind the saddle with this filly. Really nice hindquarters on her overall, and I hope, like I said, that they use some of that early speed as horses are hitting the track, Greg.
Maggie, thank you. 12-1 on the 9 Allie's All Out. You can go through so many horses in here and make interesting cases for them. Keep this in mind, too, as we get set for this finale coming up. There's thunder in the background. Skies have turned a little dark, and there's a storm a-coming.
Wow.
Always wanted to say that in a movie.
Did you really? You know what, though?
That was my delivery.
It was just absolutely wonderful, and I think Martin Scorsese's on his phone right now.
Thank you very much. Yeah. All right, we're going to kick things off with Lady Vicky, Kendrick Carmouche, riding for Danny Gargan.
First time for Danny Gargan, ran a trainer change here, drops in class, runs for the claim, all things that Danny excels at.
Yeah, first time in for a tag for the 1 here. Gentle Annie is the 2, trained by Gary Siaka.
Yeah, Louis Reyes in the irons. Your 0 for 9 is really going to have to run a lot faster today.
3 horse, Zedcha, trained by Bruce Levine, Joel Rosario aboard.
You'll have to go back to her first start to look for when she sprinted last. I think this is a horse that has a chance to come back to the right distance.
Tequila Sunday actually crossed the wire 8 lengths in front of everybody 2 starts back, only to get DQ'd.
Yeah, it got DQ'd, then came back, and then got beat by a couple in here, and that's why you're getting 9-1 today.
Third car down, second time out for Charlie Baker, dropping class and all kinds of changes.
It looks like this horse is all kinds of live. Like you said, blinkers on, Lasix was bet first time and is getting bet today.
One Cool Kitten is the 7, showed speed in the debut and moved up to third via DQ.
Yeah, and the first time Lasix today. Money showing on the board, dropping down a little bit in odds, almost 6-1.
Blinkers coming off the 8, very charming. Jose Lezcano for Gary Contessa.
A lot more than blinkers off are going to have to get the 8 into the winner's circle.
Alley's All Out, one of the horses that Maggie Wolfendale was talking about. Gary Gullo off the claim.
Claimed in the last start by Gary Gullo, offered for the same price at $25,000. A horse that's going to show speed today.
Trini Ninja coming off back-to-back thirds at this same spot for Bisnath Parbu.
Yeah, I thought it was a weaker spot last time. This is way tougher today.
First time in for a tag for the 11, Wappinger, blinkers on.
Blinkers on, Wappinger, Danny Gargan's other horse in this race, 1 of 2.
Misty Forest is the 12. John Kimmel trainee with Irad Ortiz Jr.
Well, blinkers in the drop to 25 woke her up a tiny bit, so she might have got a little bit out of that last race.
First-time starter, Thirsty Gal out of the Dermot Magner barn.
Only first-time starter in the field. The money is cold on this one.
And Frosted Mint Chip compromised at the start last out. Blinkers on today for John Terranova.
You know, this horse at 40-1, I've seen worse 40-1 shots. This horse has gotten bet in both of his other starts.
And the also eligible that draws into this race, Light Worker, make the case.
Fastest horse in the race. If you can get the trip from that outside post, he's going to win. He's better than the rest of his horses.
At 13-1, intriguing here for Corby Caiazzo, Junior Alvarado in the irons, and a little threat of rain, not scaring anybody away here at Saratoga. They want to see this finale coming up. We will have it in just a few minutes. Quick break. We'll be right back. And a very competitive 10th on the card.
Mastery retired undefeated, winning his 4 starts by a combined 20 lengths. A 6-figure September sale purchase, he won impressively in his 2-year-old debut at Santa Anita. From there, he captured the Grade 3 Bob Hope Stakes and completed his juvenile campaign with a dominant performance in the Grade 1 Los Alamitos Futurity. At 3, the top-rated son of Candy Ride sizzled in the San Felipe, running a 105 buyer and winning by open lengths. Mastery, new for 2018 at Claiborne Farm.
Great activities every day at Saratoga. Look at the talons on that owl. Community outreach booth hosting North Country Wild Care, nonprofit supporting wildlife rehabilitators all around the New York State area.
You know, when you come up to upstate New York, you see so much wildlife, and when the rain comes, wow, you get to see all the colors of the trees.
It's eyeballing you, LaDuca.
That's okay.
Talons. I got to go to Wikipedia to find out what that is.
It's the claws.
Impressive. The claws. I didn't know that.
My sister's a bird watcher, very heavily into it.
You only train horses. You ever train a goat? You ever train anything else, Tom?
I tried to train my dog. It didn't go well.
Let's check in with Gabby Gaudet.
Well, Greg, just wanted to check in with a couple of horses here, one being the number 6 third card down. I watched this filly warm up, and I really liked how her energy kind of picked it up on the track. She bowed her neck. She put in a pretty decent warm-up, too. So I'm liking what I'm seeing from her here on the track. As for the 7 One Cool Kitten, I spoke to Michelle Nevin, and she did say she thought that she got a lot out of that first race, and she expects her to show speed. But in terms of horses who are really gliding over the surface here, Greg, at least in their warm-ups, I'd have to say the 11 Wappinger definitely made a nice appearance. But it's the 6 for me, trying to get Charlie Baker home in the finale.
All right, Gabby, thank you very much. By the way, if you notice, they're loading up right now. Yeah, they're running this race sooner than expected because of the weather that is coming into the area right now. We can hear the thunder and lightning in the background, so they're loading up now and going earlier than expected.
Supposed to get some rain, but we should be okay and fine. It's supposed to stop at about 1 tomorrow for tomorrow's card. So tomorrow's card with great late pick 4 and late pick 5 and pick 6, we should be okay.
Yeah, the Amsterdam, the Grade 1 Vanderbilt, the Bowling Green at a 1 3/8 on the turf, and of course, the Grade 2 Jim Dandy for 3-year-olds. So Wappinger getting over the track very nicely, according to Gabby Gaudet, as we see a horse being a bit of a bad actor here.
Tequila Sunday. Tom, what do you do with these horses that win, get disqualified, and then they come back? These horses that break their maiden and get DQ'd, and now they come back at it. This is a tougher field, no?
Tougher field, no doubt. And, you know, look, there's no doubt that Tequila Sunday was a horse that has practice at the gate. These horses, they know the difference between morning and afternoon, no matter how much you try to school them, whether it be paddock training, gate training. There are some that just simply know the difference between morning and afternoon and are going to act up no matter how much preparation you do with them.
Difficult to, when you have some horses who are already loaded, they're sitting here waiting, it's a big field, and you have a horse acting up, kind of delaying things. Who is at the disadvantage there?
That's a good question, right? Some horses are good in the gate and they can handle it. Some don't want to be in the gate and it becomes a problem.
Just about all locked and loaded up for this finale. Here is the 12, Misty Forest. And again, that also eligible, drawing into the race. Light worker on the outside.
Stunned. I'm getting 10 to 1 on the 15 horse. Look, there's only so much energy in the tank. And he's going to have a good trip from that wide post. But he is the quickest horse in this race.
No, he is. He's got 3 second-place finishes, Greg. I mean, there's a lot of horses in here that are way less than him that haven't even finished close to second.
Well, you guys bring up an interesting point. Great value on the 15. Can he overcome that outside slot? We're going to find out. There's the first timer in a field of a lot of horses who are still trying to break through. He's the one that's done nothing wrong.
Yeah, look,
I should say.
Yet. But that's, you know, let's get back to this 15 horse. Remember, there's only so much energy in the tank, Greg. So if he has to exert a lot to get to the first turn and get over and save some ground, well, then he's going to lose. But if you're going to give me 10 to 1, I'll take that chance that he has a lucky trip. And if he does, he's going to beat this group.
She has some early speed to stay close, too. So she'll be able to rate. A lot of trouble with these 2-year-old fillies getting in. And the 8's acting up a little bit. And looks like now the rain's starting to come down, Greg.
What were you saying about the 13, Greg?
Has done nothing wrong to this point. Or maybe not anymore. 2 left to move in. Frosted Midship. Blinkers going on for John Terranova. And the also eligible Light Worker. Running this race just a little bit earlier to try and beat this weather on this Friday afternoon. Don't forget, we are back on Saturday with a sensational card, including an all-stakes pick 4 that includes the Jim Dandy and the return of Vino Rosso. His first start back since the Belmont Stakes. We're all set. Let's send it upstairs to the voice of New York Racing for the call, Larry Colmus.
They're all in line. They're off. Alley's all out, comes out well. Frosted Midship's got some early speed. Light Worker on the outside and Lady Vicky down toward the rail. They're flashing the most early foot, and then comes One Cool Kitten, followed by Wappinger and Zeka to the inside. It was a step slow to start. Thirsty Gal is next, running along in mid-pack here. Then Gentle Annie to the inside. Break of another 2 back to Very Charming. Third card down is next. Trini Ninja, Tequila Sunday, and the trailer Misty Forest 14th and last through a 22:06 opening quarter mile. They make their way into the turn. Lady Vicky is the leader. Alley's all out is second. Frosted Midship goes up on the outside in third. Wappinger circling up fourth in the far outside as they make their way around the turn. One Cool Kitten is in behind them. Zeka retreats, and then comes Light Worker to the outside, followed by Gentle Annie. Very wide run there for Trini Ninja and Tequila Sunday, and they're coming to the top of the stretch, and it's Lady Vicky. Lady Vicky has opened up a 3-length lead here. Wappinger is second as they come to the final furlong, and way on the outside, Trini Ninja trying to put in a late bid is now taken third. It is Lady Vicky in front, Trini Ninja up into second on the outside of Wappinger, but Lady Vicky's got it. Kendra Carmouche and Lady Vicky to score over Trini Ninja, Wappinger, and Tequila Sunday in 119.46.
Kendrick Carmouche, he knows where to be on this sloppy racetrack. Get to the front and make them come and get you. Nobody did.
Yeah, speed is good today, and it was certainly in the last, as it has been earlier since the rain came down. Lady Vicky for Danny Gargan. First start for Danny, drops him in for a claim. Big, big stats there, and it worked again today.
You make a great point, Tom. And listen, when you get down to this level, we've been talking about this group. We talked about all of these horses. The horse that gets to the front is just going to be dangerous. A lot of horses don't like to pass. By the way, to 10, I mean, he literally got a hot dog at the stand, Trini Ninja. He had to be 9 or 10 wide. He ran a darn good second. Listen, they're not really running here, but I thought he ran a pretty good second. He's the only horse that made up any ground. But you're right. You get to the front end, you're a winner.
And Kendrick Carmouche taking advantage of that. He's a tough one to try and outgun to the front if he has a horse with any kind of speed. Lady Vicky wins 7-2 to close things out. 1-10, Trini Ninja second, Photo for third. We'll have that for you when we come back.
The public's pretty good. They hit the right Danny Gargan horse at the right time, huh?
Yes, they did. And there is Danny Gargan. He's headed to the winner's circle. We'll be back.
This graded stakes winner and multiple Grade 1 performer by Tapit has become one of the nation's leading sires of 2-year-olds. Ranked number 1 in his crop by number of winners, he sired 11 stakes horses in 2017, including graded stakes winners Wild Shot and Oklahoma Derby winner Untrapped. At the sales, his yearlings have sold up to $480,000. Trap Shot, standing at Claiborne Farm.
How do New York breds perform? They win in world-class company. From Grade 1 races in Dubai, where New York sired New York bred Mind Your Biscuits won the Golden Shaheen for a second time, to Belmont adding to his status as the richest New York bred with a close second in the Met Mile. The Belmont Festival saw 2 more New York breds become millionaires. 4-star Crook in the New York Stakes and world record setter Disco Partner with a repeat victory in the Jaipur. New York breds, get with the program.
Back on Saratoga Live, presented by Claiborne Farm. Finale in the books. Get it, Kendrick Carmouche. Closes out this Friday card with a victory.
Yeah, congratulations to Lady Vicky. Just shows you don't need to pay that much to get in the game. $5,000 for this daughter of Boys of Tuscanova, the Regal Classic mare, Vicky Valancourt. And remember, people, who Vicky Valancourt is? Low and outside, right where I like it. Vicky Valancourt was the lifeguard in Sandlot.
What?
No.
The lifeguard in Sandlot?
No, that was...
No.
Vicky Valancourt?
Oh, wow.
No, she was the
High
girlfriend.
outside.
She was the girlfriend in the football movie.
Oh,
Down at-
that's what it was.
Adam Sandler movie,
Yeah,
right?
right,
Adam
of
Sandler
course.
Wow. Strike three, Paula Duca.
Mama said.
Yeah,
The water boy.
Water boy.
There
I
you
blew
go.
that. I'm sorry.
Lady Vicky with a win pays $9.40. Congrats to Danny Gargan as well and to Diamond M Stable.
By the way, the Naira late pick 5, can you please look at that? 4 dead favorites, and all you needed to do is get Jorge Navarro, and you got $309? Crazy.
Value?
Great. $50 pick 4 to $309. Crazy.
Let's take a look at the Saratoga Showdown standings and who, wow, we have a tie at the top. Lemon Moose and MasterStrategyInvestment.com, $114.20 the tie. And again, whenever you play this contest, you are playing for real prizes, including potentially tickets to the Belmont Stakes next year. You're not risking any of your own money. So get involved. Go to NYRA.com/showdown. We had the Curlin Stakes today. Of course, we have the Jim Dandy on Saturday. But again, Hofberg's performance, Tom Amoss, what'd you think?
He did exactly what he was supposed to do. He beat a field. He did it in workmanlike fashion, in my opinion. But that is the kind of race you need going into a race like the Travers. A lot of distance that day, lightly raced, needed to get a good race under his belt. He did his job.
I agree with you. Like I said earlier, it doesn't matter who you're racing against. You win the race, you win the race. Listen, there's not much in the field. I think he got enough out of it. Now he's got to face the big boys next. We'll see where he sits, but he is improving.
Who are the big boys?
Exactly. We'll find that out.
It was Justify and all the rest, all spring and summer. But now, when we're going to have the Jim Dandy tomorrow, we'll have the Haskell on Sunday. We'll know who the rest are.
All I want is Lone Sailor to be one of the big boys.
Yes! I can go for that.
Good luck to Tom Amoss, Lone Sailor, in the Haskell Invitational later this weekend at Monmouth. Of course, we will have the Grade 2 Jim Dandy on Saturday, part of an all-stakes pick 4. Vino Rosso back in action. Tenfold, who just missed in the Preakness, back in action. Flame Away from Marcassi, whose only try at Saratoga was a win. We will see you on Saturday, Fox Sports 2. We're on from 6 to 7 on Saturday. All the other regional networks watching right now, we are on 4 to 7 p.m. on Saturday with the Jim Dandy. See you then.